what's dear to me is dear to my God. I can't shed more tears, I know it's time to fight. It's time to remove the mask. For once let us be honest. We parents will not step back. Our children deserve the best. Punished for protecting them. Where is the justice in all that? Our voices rise because our love is deep. Return the innocent, hear our hearts beat. Yeah, yeah. It's time to remove the mask. For once let us be honest. We parents will not step back. Our children deserve the best. It's time to remove the mask. For once let us be honest. We parents will not step back. Our children deserve the best. It's time to remove the mask. For once let us be honest. We parents will not step back. Our children
But
deserve
you know what?
the
We do
best.
everything we need to do to get these stories out. So I've got people on this evening that are not, some that are going to be right out there, and others that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about gag orders in West Virginia and how they violate the law in West Virginia, how judges violate the law every day in those courts. We're going to talk about the fact that, we'll have Rich talk about the fact that they're kangaroo courts in West Virginia, that they do not follow the Constitution on anything, like nothing. At least New York courts, they do, you know, and it, depending on what type of an attorney you get in the court, they watch themselves even better. And we're supposed to be the most corrupt state in the country. If you Google the state of New York, we're supposed to be the most corrupt state in the country. Now, I'm not even going to start this until all of you share this and invite every single person on your list tonight. And the same thing goes with the people that are in our group tonight, core team, and so on and so forth. We need to get this message out. This is a very important message. We've done a lot of work for quite some time pulling this together on the state of West Virginia. It is very important that people understand the damages that the state of West Virginia is doing. And as we tie the pieces together, as we bring this out across our nation, across our globe, as we see, you know, we see so many issues that these barbaric courts have caused, not just CPS, Child Predator Services, but, you know, a lot of times people blame CPS, and I do blame CPS. I call it, hello Elizabeth, thank you. I call it Child Predator Services because that's what it is. We've exposed story after story, and we continue to do so. However, they cannot make these decisions without a judge's signature and a judge's stamp. It's the judges that I blame when push comes to shove, and at the end of every day, it's the judges that are making these disgusting, barbaric decisions. Now, there's so much that's involved in these particular cases and why they've gone so awry for so long. We see, as advocates, very, very damaged people, okay? And there are people that are kids, you know, kids that have been damaged, adults that are damaged. You know, some people, the majority of people, you know, there's a saying, hurting people hurt people. I want to talk about that in a minute. I know a lot of hurting people that have empathy, sympathy, compassion, because they've been through it, and they don't actually hurt people. I think that's a matter of your own personal choice, because I think on some level everyone's been hurt. But I also think that there's people who have been tremendously hurt in childhood, and they don't act like certain ways that they shouldn't. Let's put it that way, abusive. What we're seeing in the state of West Virginia, I feel, is extremely important, that we expose this by telling just true stories from people who have endured and suffered through that state. But I feel like it's all these states. I mean, I get the messages constantly around the clock that my state is the worst. It's the worst state there is. We have the most corrupt state. I hear this all the time around the clock, that that I have the most corrupt state. I have the most corrupt judge. I have the most corrupt CPS. This is national, and we know global, but let's focus on our own country right now. Let's focus on America right now. I do find it very sad that people have major issues in other countries and come to Americans for help, because they're not finding what they need there. I do find that to be quite amazing. And this is something that we're touching on, but I want to focus right now on our country. I want to focus on the borders of our country and state to state. And one of the things that, I do see extreme corruption in many different states, and we're going to focus on those states as well. But I see extreme corruption in the state of West Virginia, in particular counties. But it is so corrupt that, like I got done saying, they do not honor the Constitution at all. And I do mean they do not honor the Constitution at all. They also violate everything that any court on it that I downloaded from like an hour ago. Okay, sorry about that, guys. There are requirements for every court to follow, and they're equal requirements in every single state in the country. There's nothing different about it in different states. Okay, we as a human race, we have certain things that have been set and appointed by our founding fathers, and these courts are supposed to follow they're supposed to follow our foundations. They're supposed to follow our Constitution. They're supposed to follow our Bill of Rights. They're supposed to follow particular procedures that they do not follow. And when they don't, when they deviate from what's anchored, what's our laws, it affects everything about the case. And something that really bugs me when I court watch in these courts across the country is that a lot of these things are very simple, common sense approach. When you're dealing with families, it shouldn't be the same as when you're going, let's say, into a criminal court. And there needs to be such an accountability and a checks and balance system that never should people go through what we see happening across our nation day in and day out. And I use that analogy all the time about the horse. When we were driving, my son and I, one day a few years ago in the rain, and we discovered a sign that said "free horse," and so I turned the car around to go. Actually, I'm going to move where I can get better signal. I turned the car around where I could go see about getting this free horse. And we see this crap every day on Facebook. Miscommunications, nonsense, a bunch of nonsense. Adults acting like you can't even say little children, because I don't even think little children act that way. Well, we're seeing this with the judges in our country. The sign, when you actually turn around and you can see the visibility, and you can see what wasn't visible when you were driving in the rain. And there's a lot to say about this, a lot. The second portion of that sign did not say free horse, it said free horse manure. Okay? That is an extreme difference. Okay? Somebody can't use, there's maybe some people that can use horse manure. Obviously they're giving it away, right? So they're using it for fertilization. But most people don't want mounds of shit. And most people are getting mounds of shit in the family court and CPS because of neglectful investigating, not listening, not taking in evidence. These are things that are mandated and required in every single state that are supposed to be before you make these drastic decisions and affect and harm families and children. And it's disgusting what I see happening everywhere. But walking into a family court or a circuit court in West Virginia, and West Virginia, we're going to talk about a bunch of things that have been happening and not happening. But I don't know how judges don't even take like a common sense approach and look at the assessment of the family and the dynamic of the family, and just make these decisions without getting to know the parents, without getting to know all the other people that are affected by taking children from one home to another, or placing them into foster care, or having CPS come in with some bozo that doesn't even have the right education to be doing that type of work. that there's just so many factors that filter into the issues and the problems that we have worldwide, but nationwide. So many factors. And so we want to go after and we want to talk about West Virginia, because West Virginia is not doing anything required by our laws. Nothing. When an advocate like myself has every legal right to sit inside any courtroom in West Virginia with my, with the person that I'm advocating for, and I'm told I have to leave, that this is a closed door, that every one of my rights have been violated, every one of the person who I'm advocating for's rights are violated, ADA, which is American with Disability Act rights, are instantly violated. When your children are taken from you before due process, before a trial, before any kind of a hearing, before actual evidence is brought on the table, how can you be guilty of something you've never been tried for? And yet we have been allowing this nationwide for years and years and years. So why do we do the advocacy parental training groups that we do? Why do we do them? They're highly important to do them. Number one, we, as Punish for Protecting and Fight for Lily and anybody else that has groups, we encourage you guys to get advocates working for you, that we all follow the same patterns, that we all follow the same professionalism, okay, that we're not going to take people in and assign people into our groups that are going to harm our groups, because we see the injured people that are out there that don't act right. We don't want that representing us in any way, shape, or form. We don't want people that are going to just take a little picture of free horse and not read that it's actually free horse manure. We want people that are going to actually spend time and get to know cases. We don't want people haphazardly giving advice. We don't want people to say, I know, here's a perfect example. How many people do you talk to day in and day out that say they know somebody on Facebook and they've never seen that person's face? They don't know where they live. They think they know who they are. They think they know their shoe size. They know nothing about them, and they'll swear by that person, and they know not a single thing about them. Okay? When you're an advocate, you are responsible for human life. You are responsible for the lives of children. You're responsible for the lives of parents, grandparents, the whole family, friends, and so on and so forth. So why? You can't see me so great because of the lighting, but as long as you can hear me, that's what's important. So these are such imperative issues, and why people need to be trained advocates and trained parents. You need to be a trained parent so that people don't walk all over you, so that these judges are not walking all over you, so that these courts are not walking all over you. Okay? And you need to be everybody needs to be depending on what group you're advocating for, or what we do basically is we work and we partner with other groups so that we're all on the same page also. Everybody's on the same page. I actually have Zoom going with a lot of people, and everybody needs to not talk right now. I have them muted, but so what we've done is we've established patterns of abuse state to state, county to county, and we're still building. This is taking time. Listen, Punish for Protecting literally was not something that I expected to happen. I started writing a book when this issue started with my son as an advocate, and I was retaliated against. I began writing a book while I fought for my child, and I continue to fight for other people's children. And then I decided to take it to Facebook, and I decided to get involved and do public access TV station, and I thought of the name Punish for Protecting because that's what was happening. I was being punished for protecting my rights. I was being punished for protecting my child, and that I had full custody of, and had every right imaginable, and yet I could not protect him from things that were not something things that CPS should be protecting a child from, let's say, for example. And so as an advocate, I was watching family after family and child after child, and I'd go into these courts and I'd be like, this is bizarre behavior. Why would judges make these decisions? Why? Nobody in their right mind would make these decisions. Nobody in their right mind would make these decisions. And why would a person with an immaculate, and by the way, I had my background check done, and I'm actually going to have it even more extensively done, so that this nonsense that's happening on Facebook, and listen, whoever doesn't like that I expose, don't watch me. Don't watch me. I really don't care, okay? This is for people that actually want to make a difference in our country. This is for people that actually give a damn about their families and other families. This is for people that actually spend time to use both ears instead of one mouth and listen to what's important and listen to what's going to make these changes to protect families everywhere, okay? So if you don't like that I expose, well, listen, that's what I do. If you don't like that I'm not private and I'm public, then don't watch me. Find another forum. Find another venue. Okay, it doesn't matter to me if you're not going to be that person, because I just posted it today. We have, 7.5 billion people in the world. There's enough people that will stand by and do the right thing. Okay, I stand by in utter forthrightness in everything I do, and if I do something wrong, I speak about it. I speak about it too if I've made a mistake. I am still human like everybody else. And if someone is berating me for 3 weeks straight, 2 months straight, if somebody's out there that all they can talk about, they can eat, sleep, and breathe Fran, okay, and everything that they do on Facebook is all about me, okay, and they think they found me out and all this other nonsense, I'm going to come on Facebook. I'm going to debunk it, period. I'm going to expose it because that's what I do. That is what I do. So whoever doesn't like it, don't watch. And if you want to sit here and you want to talk crap about me or anybody else, well, I'm going to debunk it. I'm going to bring it to the table. I don't have to mention names because everybody knows who you are. All you do is eat, breathe, and sleep Fran. You're obsessed with me, okay? And I'd like to know if you're genuinely an advocate, why you'd be so damn obsessed with me. And if I post something, and you think it's about you, well, maybe your conscience is telling you something because your name's not in it, but I posted something about you. Why? Because you can't leave me alone. Okay. But everybody else that can't leave me alone because they like what I'm doing. They're inspired by what I'm doing. They're getting hope again. They're getting out of bed. They're getting their children back. They're getting their families restored. They're getting an opening in court again. They're getting a trial that they weren't given in the first place because their rights were violated. Their due process was violated. Okay? So I am going to be who I am and what I'm good at. And guess what? Hopefully, anybody that likes what I'm doing will continue to take this train ride with me until we wreck that crap that's been destroying families worldwide. And we will continue to do what we need to do as a human race, okay? So we're focusing on West Virginia, and we're focusing on exposing West Virginia. I have a special interest in West Virginia. I'm not quite sure why they keep unmuting, but I have a special interest in West Virginia because part of my case was New York and West Virginia. I love both states.
I hear you, Fran. Like
it's not. You don't have to work. You don't have to hear me. I'm muting it. And I have a special interest in both West Virginia and New York. And the reason being is because, and I love both states, I live in both states. I lived at that time in both states. I've always had my residence in New York, my son's school in New York, and so on and so forth. I witnessed firsthand the corruption in West Virginia last year when they violated rights that you would not imagine. And you will, because I know I'm preaching to the choir. And then I began to meet more people in West Virginia and the same pattern of abuse I was seeing. And, you know, those of you that are genuine advocates that actually love people, care about people, lay your lives down for people, spend 25 hours a day, even though we only have 24, spend 8 days a week, even though we only have 7 days a week, advocating for the lives of other people and caring about this horrible, broken system. You guys know that there are patterns of abuse that are very similar or exactly the same in every single state in our country. You guys know that CPS falsifies records. You guys know, if you're a genuine advocate, that you don't just take things surface value. You don't just take even a criminal record. When you look at something, you have to find out what happened, what really happened, why the judge did this, why this decision was made, who lied about what judge took in evidence, did the judge take in evidence. You know that you've got to actually really delve into things because you're dealing with the lives of the human beings, okay? Which in effect is horrifically destroying the lives of children. And we're going to show you some things tonight, and we're going to have some people talk tonight that is going to genuinely expose West Virginia and their patterns of abuse, but also it really affects, it's similar to the effects of other states, okay? But like I said, not only do they not follow the Constitution at all, they do nothing right. I'll give you an example. I have somebody who's using one of our federal attorneys. They wrote up against the gag order because the gag order is illegal on every level. These judges are claiming now that they can do a universal gag order on broadcasters and journalists, and people can't even talk about these children. Well, where do they go? Did we take a big eraser and start erasing these kids? Why can't we talk about them? Why can't we talk about what these judges are doing? Why do you think we can't talk about what these judges are doing? Why do you think exposing evil is so fretted upon by these judges? Or even people that claim to be advocates don't want you to say things because they're not really advocates. They're not really for this cause. And I see what's happening because I have eyes in many places, okay? I didn't just pop up on the scene like you might think. I see things that are happening where people are getting real scared because they're being found out. Be very cautious of people who don't have real names on Facebook. Be very cautious because some of you are giving your life, everything about you and your cases to complete and utter moles. And you're never going to get the help you think you're getting. Okay? People they like to take your platform when you're doing something right and good things are happening, and they want to take it and they want to use it and they want to use it against people. Okay? Use wisdom in what you're doing. West Virginia doesn't allow people, you file that charge against the judge for violating your rights and a false gag order, which is completely illegal in every state. West Virginia doesn't have a special monopoly or a special, it's not a state that's been seceded from the United States. No, not at all, okay? It's a state that's within the borders and the boundaries of the United States of America, and it has to follow our Constitution, period, okay? Where do they come off, number one? Handing out gag orders like candy, shutting people up, and why would they do that? Why would they do that? Listen, if somebody accuses me of something, I'm going to take it back out and show you the truth, if you'll listen. If you've got brains and decency enough and class enough to listen, and let's take it out. Show the evidence. Show what you have. Okay, I can see why you would think that. I can see why, free horse, you would think I really did that. But did you read the rest of the sentence? Free horse shit? So now let's look at the picture and what it really is. Well, that's what these judges are doing. That's what they're doing. They don't want you to know what's going on in their courts, which is actually our courts, because they've got something to hide. And for years, they've had something to hide. They have a trial trafficking ring from one part of the state to the other part of the state in various locations that we know of. They are not only, they're public pretenders that are acting as your attorney, which is your voice. They're supposed to zealously represent you. They're supposed to stand up for you. They're supposed to fight for you like they fight for themselves, but they don't. And they gradually get your children into foster care or with the parent that's not healthy for the child. If they see that, they'll gradually get the child over to that, the child or children, by manipulating facts, by lying about things, by claiming that a person has a mental health issue, by falsifying records, by using CPS to work together. This is something that has been happening for a long time, and we're not fooled by it anymore. They'll do all this destruction. They'll get your kids to the abusive parent, whether it be the mother or the father. They look for the worst, and that's what they do, so they can gradually get the child into the foster care system and own them, okay? Then when they do that in West Virginia, the next thing that they do is they take, this is happening in other states. We've got actual names of public pretenders who have done this exact thing. We have names, okay? I don't have specific names. I have some in West Virginia, but in New York, I've got specific names. They go into the courts, they get it to the foster care, they get it to adoption, and guess who adopts your kids? Take a guess. Do you know who adopts your kids? Those very same public pretenders adopt your children, okay? That's what they're doing. That's part of the racket, okay? And we also know about the 4D funding and the 4E funding and so on and so forth, okay? Now, the other thing that West Virginia does is when you have the attorney go and file the motion to appeal, the judge has no choice in that. The judge can't say, I'm going to let you do this or I'm not going to let you do this. This is your right to file a motion to appeal. No one can stop you from filing a motion to appeal. This is part of your due process. And that judge actually turns around and says, you're not allowed to file this because now you have a civil attorney in our court. No, you can have 55,000 attorneys if you want to. If you want to, you can walk into a family court with, I've done it. I've actually switched attorneys while going through court, okay? I've done some things that nobody has ever done, okay, because I use my brain. So what I've done in my particular court, when I see they try to play games with me as a whistleblower, as an advocate, as a person with an immaculate background, and after years of them letting them abuse me or bowing down, thinking that I'm supposed to listen to my, learning it as a child, you're supposed to listen to your elders, you're supposed to respect authority, and you are, okay? But not when the authority is a kangaroo, not when authority is false at every level. So what I began doing when this happened with my child was, I'd walk in with an attorney, I'd walk in with a different attorney, then I'd walk in with both attorneys, I'd have another attorney sitting on the seat back here taking notes so they can't play with the transcripts, okay? So I made sure that things went on the record that I wanted on the record. So I would also speak things specifically so that what they would scratch from the record, it would still be in the transcripts so that you can use it. You've got to use your brain. You are dealing with the devil. You need to outsmart. It's easy to outsmart the devil because the wisdom of God is far greater than the knowledge of man. Okay? That's something that, but I know that I'm kind of going over, but these are very important factors in why we do what we do. Okay? So now, here's what has happened. So now, West Virginia, and what happened in my particular situation, and what made this take off, okay, is a state that kicks out when you motion to appeal. They stop you from motioning to appeal. They cease you from just anything. They continue. Rich will tell you. He'll have to explain this better than me, but he says that they continue using the same case number that's dead. They use it over and over and over again, and I'll have him talk about that too. Then you've got. Let me think. Then you've got other things that they do. They hide transcripts. They don't let you get them. Okay, this is something that is completely illegal, and I've seen other states that have told me about this too. They cannot stop you from getting your transcripts. Okay, that is part of your record, and they cannot stop you from. What you need to do also is get your case from the inception of the time you started in court, making sure that everything was date stamped, time stamped, and so on and so forth. That it was actually registered to the court. Okay, and also all the way to the final day, if there ever becomes a final day, because most people, once you enter court, you are going in a revolving door, and you go, 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 and you don't stop going. Okay, now, I'm going to actually have some people talk now too. West Virginia blocks everything, and I saw it for myself. I witnessed it for myself on a couple occasions. I witnessed it several times. That they literally don't let you in the court. They have you leave the court. They don't want you to see what's going on. They don't imagine going to court. I mean, it's bad enough, and it's kangaroo enough, and it's effed up enough as it is. But you go into court, and you can't have a mother sitting there with you, a father sitting there with you. You can't have a friend sitting there with you. You can't have any kind of anybody there that's going to help support you. So no supporters. You're not allowed. You just have to have who they say is allowed into the court. Okay. So then they have. They close that door that you have to leave, and so you're there all alone. And so what is most people going to do? You are in a court, CPS workers, your attorney, their attorney, your public pretender, the children's attorney or guardian ad litem in West Virginia, and then all these other phonies all in the court. So you got this gang of people, and you, and now they're telling you how to make your decision. You didn't get to sit out and think it out like you would on anything. Some people, they take a long time to figure out what's the best TV for their house. This is your family. These are your children. And you don't have the right to figure it out yourself. Spend some time before you don't even sign the contract. You don't get one to sign and look at. You don't get to look at the red tape. Just a second. Okay. So with West Virginia, with every state, obviously, we know that this is every state. You do not get the opportunity. You don't get the chance to make these decisions, okay? But West Virginia stops you at every single level, every single second, every single move, anything that you're allowed, every due process, anything that you're legally allowed, okay? West Virginia stops you. They stop you. And so as I was looking at that, and I was saying, and I feel Minnesota is like that too, but even Minnesota is following some laws. Even Pennsylvania is following some laws. These are bad states, very bad states, very, very, very bad states, but they still follow some procedures and rules and so on and so forth, and constitutional rights, okay? But not West Virginia. Not West Virginia, not at all. It doesn't follow anything whatsoever. So we're going to show you a couple of different things that have happened. A Supreme Court judge coming down, or came down already. We're going to show you the state senator that's over 3 counties. Stuff is happening, okay? So we feel that it is imperative to expose these stories, and I'm going to have you guys listen to some people that are actually there in West Virginia that have endured what abuse, and I know that there's so many of you here right now, watching right now, that will be watching, saying, that's my story too. I have been so abused. I mean, but first of all, we need our president. We need us as a national people. We need our president to follow his executive order. We need us to do what we need to do to make sure, and as we continue to work with people that I trust, that know how to write, that know how to do this legally, to go after our country, to go after our nation, our people in authority that have allowed this abuse to families, that have allowed children to be taken, and you're going to see now some of the other horrendous violations, horrendous just effects on families. Children tortured, children abused, children sexually perpetrated, just one diabolical act after another and after another. So I'm just going to I think I have enough charge on this. I think I have enough charge on this where I can actually get into, I'm here, guys. It's just going to, hold on, let them know. We're good. We're getting more of a charge. You guys are on, and just hang out a little bit there. So I have a good amount of people that are going to be speaking tonight, and a lot of things that we're going to show. But we're going to go ahead and show you just what's going on in West Virginia and how bad it is, how it applies to your states as well. Don't get me wrong, because it does, okay? But how they have fiercely violated everything humanly possible. And let me go, and I'm going to go ahead, because I do have my laptop here, but I think we have enough charge now that we can finish the story, or I can go in like a normal person to tell it. I have several other people from West Virginia, and some of them are going to remain anonymous because of the false gag orders. Oh, and let me go and tell you what one of these judges is actually calling a gag order. Well, actually a couple of them. And we are actually in the middle of having lawsuits written against these judges, and we will be exposing them for exactly what they are. We will be exposing these judges. We will be making sure that each and every one of these judges, and I'm talking about every judge that we deal with every single person that, we're getting more and more, getting to know, sorry, my dogs are going crazy. We're getting to know people more too. Part of what we do with these classes we're getting to actually, talk to people, and instead of it just being like Facebook nonsense, we're talking to people. We're getting to know people. They're learning. You see how serious people really are. You get to know people a lot better when you're actually having normal conversations with people, seeing that they're sincere, that they're actual victims, that they're actual people that are concerned about what's happening, and all that kind of stuff. So we do this through our Zoom meetings with our instructor, and as they're learning and they're telling about their cases, and you see that their cases are sincere as you go through the paperwork and you meet the people. You know what I mean? It's a whole different thing than just talking to somebody on Facebook, okay? Because Facebook, I'm beginning to see, I only would barely use Facebook for real friends and stuff like that. Getting involved this way, doing something on this as a platform, and having literally, I don't accept everybody, so I'd probably be past 5,000 by now, but I'm very cautious. I try to be, and I've obviously missed it quite a few times, but it is what it is. But this way, with the classes and being having these communications and spending hours with people and working with other advocates and so on that have a wealth of experience as well, and that have a lot to teach, and have won cases, and have brought kids back out of horrible cases that are impossible to win. Hey, listen, my own case was impossible to win, not because of anything I've ever done, but because I had a judge that actually hated my guts for exposing him, so sorry. So this is another reason why we do the classes that we do. It's not just to build advocates and build you guys up, but also so we can help the right people, okay? The people that actually are genuinely being victimized by these courts and by CPS, and having their genuine rights violated, and we do not want to see that continue. So let's see. I've got here on my Zoom right now. Let's pull it up. Okay. I see you guys there, so just hang on. I know it froze. It's because of what happened. We have plenty of battery now. We can actually do this. We can finish this West Virginia exposing. And we're going to start putting on the different people that are here. And yes, there's massive, guys. Yes, you're right. Federal, but I mean, they're violating their own state laws. Okay, guys, they're violating their own state laws. They're violating the Constitution. They're violating the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court. They're in violation of the federal laws and so on and so forth. Things don't just change from one court to another. People have been so misled. It is mind-blowing how misled people have been, because, and I don't believe that people are anywhere near as misled as they used to be, because of just from all the exposing in the first place. So here we are. I've got. Okay, guys, we're good. We're back. We're actually good. Here we go. Let me just make sure. Okay, guys, we're good. I'm just going to keep you guys all muted, and I'm going to call you guys on one by one. And now I'm going to start showing some stories here. I'm going to have.
We're getting ready to get on, people.
Yeah, we have the mute. I don't know why it's doing that, but you know, I would definitely, if I were you guys, I would definitely invite everybody in your list, because this is stuff that you really, that's just an intro. You want to share this far and wide. If you really care about what's happening in our courts and you want a way out, okay? We did global citizens arrest. It was supposed to be national. It made a massive impact. There's no question it made an impact. I'm getting messages all the time. Judges came down, okay? And not for nothing, but hey, listen, I'm one person. I got involved starting to do this in August. It is now January, and I am blown away by what has occurred in what, 5 months, 6 months? Come on, this has like been amazing. This has been amazing. And now we've got, okay, let's see. I'm going to start showing you different things.
Good.
Okay, so I have here, I've got a few different people that I want to speak. I want Richard Provost to speak. I want Travis Kinder to speak. Ron Collins to speak. All these people have some stories to expose. Not understanding why people keep unmuting when I mute them. Okay, let's go with.
I didn't know if somebody else wanted the floor.
I need you guys to stop unmuting yourselves. Thanks. I'm sorry, because it just causes major distraction. All right. And now I have others that I don't know if they're actually going to say their names, and I'm going to need to know. I have Mike. I know I can show you. But let's start with, why don't we start with, and again,
you've got some good West Virginia.
I don't know why that keeps happening, guys. I'm sorry. I really do apologize. I'm not quite sure why it keeps unmuting. Okay, here we go. So we're going to start with, I think we're going to go ahead and start with Rich Provost, and I'm going to try to find something that is relative to what he's about to speak about. So we'll get him on first, and then I'm going to, no, don't screen share. Can you unscreen share, please, so I can screen share? Okay. Can you take that screen share off so I can screen share? And I'm going to have Rich go first. I'm not quite sure why people would take over the meeting like that. Okay. Here we go. Stay muted, please, because it's going to be too distracting for the people that are trying to watch on Facebook. All right. So I think the first thing I'm going to do, we have so much to show you guys. We have, here, let's just do this, because I get a ton of mail, so it's hard for me to even find half the stuff. I'm going to talk about an intermediate appeals court bill that was introduced into the state of West Virginia that has been trying to be pushed through since 2009, which is a direct violation of the due process laws in the state of West Virginia. And that's something that is one of only 9 states without it. And it's something that is one of the reasons why West Virginia is so highly affected. Let's go ahead and start with Richard Provost. Go ahead, Rich. You can go ahead and talk a little bit about kangaroo court in West Virginia, whatever you want to talk about there. You're unmuted.
I'm unmuted. All right, West Virginia. Ooh. About the kangaroo court process. Yeah, that's where all the child trafficking that plays into it. They just take a parent. I'm trying to switch my view here. They just take a parent into court. They place a gag on them and take their kids, and so yeah, there's like absolutely nothing that you can do about it. So yeah, I mean, that's, you were talking about filing of the same case number.
Right. That's something that you see a lot in West Virginia. Can you step back off the screen a little bit? Because you're like all face.
Well, I'm trying to, I can't see my screen here very well.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, but anyway, that's what they do. What?
Back
That's
up.
what they do. Huh?
Just back up a
I
little
am
bit.
back.
You are?
I am.
Okay, there you
Yeah.
go.
What they do, they file that's kangaroo court, is they'll file the same case number, and they'll file the same case number and keep taking you back to court
With the same case number. With the same case number.
Hold on for a minute.
Sure.
So yeah, they keep filing the same case number, take you back into court, then they keep it making, like, what they do is, like, you'll go through the first hearing, because they have to have, CPS has to have probable cause to take you into court anyway. So what they'll do is, like they did me, they'll take you into court. They have nothing, no tangible evidence, which is the only way you can take a case into court anyway. Then at the end of the hearing, the attorney says, "Oh, there's new allegations." So they'll take you back into court. They keep doing that, but between the hearings, like they were sending me like 2 or 3 like different like motion and orders and petitions with false stuff on it that was never filed. So yeah, and they did that to me, and they got smoked. Because that's I don't know. Just what else did you want me to talk about? I'm losing consequences.
So basically, there's a couple different things that you found that they're doing. They're obviously you also said they're using the education system. They're actually going in cahoots with the education system to continue this whole kangaroo process in West Virginia. So
yes.
And then what about the pharmaceutical companies there, like the pharmacists there rather? What are they doing in cahoots with the courts?
Because when I was going through 2012, 2014, completely ass-free hearings, on my medication, I ended up going through withdrawal of Lamictal for 2 weeks, and to find out that
what happened? We don't know why. Yep. Okay, now we're open. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm sorry for that, guys. I'm glad you stayed on, and hopefully you guys will get back on. This is something, what can I tell you? What can I tell you? It's, again, we're going to go back to the voice that they don't want, but we're going to keep it going. Intermediate Appeals Court bill introduced into the state Senate, and this is West Virginia, Charleston. Basically what this is, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase just for the sake of, everyone please mute yourselves. Charleston, a bill to create an Intermediate Court of Appeals, West Virginia, has been introduced again in the state Senate. Now this was it says it right here actually, January 23rd. Senator Ryan Ferns and Senator Patricia Rucker introduced Senate Bill 341, and it was referred first in the Senate Judiciary Committee, then to the Senate Finance. The bill would create the new court. Now, the fact that you need a new court is, think about the mess, the disaster that they've made, right? And provide for how it is set up and operated. Provide for the election of the judges, set up districts, establish qualifications and jurisdiction, and provide the budget for the court. This is something that should have already been in place. The bill would require the court to be operational by July 1, 2019. I mean, like, when you have something that's this broken and it's going to take this long to fix it, and yet you're still making decisions for families, it's pretty messed up. And would require Governor Jim Justice, okay, and if anybody knows about him, to make initial opponents by July 1st of this year. Similar bills have been introduced before, including last session. It's been a topic at the State House since at least 2009. That, to me, is pretty bad news right there. And is at the top of West Virginia CALA's legislative priorities this year as well. West Virginia is the only state in the country that doesn't provide a full appeal of right for either civil or criminal litigants West Virginia CALA Executive Director Roman Stafford said, it is one of the 9 states that do not have at least one intermediate appellate court. Okay? That is really, really horrific news right there. That can't get much worse. And you can see that if you see, matter of fact, Rich, if you'll send me David House of Deegan, the one we showed last night, that would be very appropriate for right now. Okay? And I have a million messages, so if you just excuse me because I'm needing to find the stories. I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to put on Travis, and I need to, or actually, yeah, I'm going to put on Travis. Go ahead.
All right, now it all started. All right, in 2015, it was disclosed to me that there was abuse going on by a friend of the custodial parent. I had reported that. Well, there was a forensic interview that came about where everything I disclosed came to light that was true. Okay. Well, I had a guardian ad litem in Charleston hide that from the court. Not only did he intentionally didn't bring the copy. First off, he wanted the original, and I had a gut feeling like, no, thank you. And I made him a copy on a USB drive of the interview on a disc. But he intentionally failed to bring that to court, as well as mentioning anything of the abuse that he discovered in his report. Not only did he not mention that, but he tried to twist it on me and make it like I had anger issues. Like, granted, I'm pissed off. I'm mad because of what my son's going through, and the people that's put there to help him as well as I are not doing their job.
Right.
So I had to do. There was false allegations, more or less. The custodial parent accused me of everything the child told on them for doing. I had to do almost a year of supervised visitation. And I asked the judge, I said, Your Honor, I want due process to disprove the lies. He chuckled to himself and said, well, we don't do due process in family law. Bow, big violation right there. Okay. So, time I just kind of let that blow by because I knew it was just an uphill fight. So the guardian ad litem ended up making it to where I got 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks out of each month. The 1 week in a month was during the school year, 2 weeks out of each month for the summertime months. So the first month I had him, that was in 2016. Okay, and then 2017 summer rolls around. The first 2 weeks I had him, the child disclosed new abuse, that the custodial parent was intoxicated, slammed against the wall, and begged me to tell, and he didn't want to go home. So I did. I reported it. Because I live in Ohio, I reported it to what's called CARES in Ohio. They advised me to take him to an emergency room for abuse neglect intake. I done that. And from there, they referred him to trauma therapy and counseling. So I had him in all that. Well, the social worker, and I have all this documentation to prove this, the social worker from Ohio tried to contact Charleston Police Department. Okay, they refused to make a report from this social worker. And then it states it in her actually findings. So they refused to make a report, and then she said that when she tried to contact them back, it just rang in the voicemails full. She couldn't leave a message. Okay, so, and probably about a week and a half later, I get served with paperwork for Charleston, West Virginia, for family court. The custodial parent went and filed for emergency custody, and again blamed me for every single thing that the child had said that had happened. So I go to court July 6th, and the judge forces me to return the child to him. Okay, well, that was the beginning of it. And in that hearing, he had a CPS worker out of Charleston. He swore him in over the phone for that hearing. And the man's stories was very, almost like it was like they were colluding, him and the custodial parent, because they were almost identical. Their stories and statements were almost identical. So that's how I know he was lying, because I know the story that the mother or the custodial parent had was BS. I mean, I know it was a lie. I didn't abuse my child. So they make me give him back. Then September rolls around of last year, and we go for the other hearing. Well, this time that CPS worker shows up in person along with another man that's supposed to be some kind of drug rehabilitation man. Well, he claims on the stand that he had tried to contact the custodial parent several times, and even though he left voicemails, it took her a couple days to get back with him. But the thing is, her voicemail box hasn't been set up for the last year. That was a lie. Okay. Well, after that, they more or less took all of my time with my child, like, because with going back and forth to court. First off, they had, hold on, buddy. They had they had drugged me through court. I had a really good job where I live, and dragging me back and forth through court. I pointed out, and the mother did that because it was actually West Virginia was involved in that. Since 2010, they have added interest to my child support without even being in arrears, placing me in the arrears. Yep. Well, when I caught wind of that, I turned them in, and at that point, I was $800 behind in child support, and that's after being off of work for 2 years for a bad car accident I was in that required surgery. Okay, and I just got back to work when I had this most recent job that I pointed out of. But all right, I filed for, I tried to get a modification in 2013 because I found out that my wife now, which was, you know, we weren't married or anything, she was pregnant, and our child, we found out he had a cleft lip and palate, and he had a disability. So I tried to modify that because I knew that the medical bills and expenses would be crazy. So I do all that in 2013. They give me a runaround. Finally, they accept my paperwork, and this was around the time I was going to court in 2017 with the guardian ad litem that lied and everything. So they give me, it took about 9 months for them to impute income to me while I was under medical care, deny my modification, and at that point, even after being out of work for 2 years almost, I was only $800 behind in child support, which with their interest was $1,200. Well, I turned them in to the governor's office, who more or less helped them hide their crimes right in Charleston. And then out of spite and retaliation, the child support office sent paperwork to have me in court, which is what cost me my job. They had sent the paperwork where I live at in Ohio, claiming that I was almost $3,000 in arrears, trying to get me locked up for speaking out against it. So I got all that stuff beat and everything.
Now hold on a second. You when you say, I need you to lower my sound completely. When you say you got them beat, so each allegation you were able to debunk each false allegation. Is that correct?
Well, I got a beat for the child support. That's what they was trying to have me incarcerated. Hold on, I'm trying to turn my volume up. Oh,
it needs to go off the volume. Yeah.
Here. Hold on a second.
It's okay. I'm actually gonna have to show. I'm gonna have to show a video because we're not gonna have enough time to do all we're not doing all the whole length of the stories.
I'm trying to get back there.
That's okay. I'm gonna have to show a video. Hold on, please. I'm gonna have to show a video. Sorry.
All right.
I'm sorry. Okay. Let me just get this pulled up here. I mean, not a video, I'm sorry. This is a story. This is very important. This is West Virginia. Police investigated death of a child at the Highland Clarksburg Hospital. Okay? Now, I don't know if, Carla, you want to speak a little bit about this? If you would unmute yourself, but I'm going to read a little bit and then have you speak a little bit about this. This is Clarksburg, West Virginia. The Clarksburg Police Department is investigating the death of a 5-year-old boy at Highland Clarksburg Hospital on January 7th. This is really important because it's not just like a death at a hospital of a 5-year-old boy. It's more than that. Police said they were contacted by the hospital after the death and that they are waiting on an autopsy and toxicology results from the coroner's office in Charleston. Clarksburg Chief Deputy Jason Snyder said nothing criminal or civil can be determined about the case until they receive results from Charleston. He said the coroner's office will contact law enforcement if they suspect anything suspicious. Snyder said the Clarksburg Police Department investigates any death in the city that is unattended. Ultimately, what we want is a cause of death, Snyder said. The Department of Health and Human Resources and the Office of Health Facility Licensure and Certification are also investigating the death. But what they did find, right, and where are you, Carla? Are you on here?
I'm on here.
Okay, can you speak a little bit about what was discovered? You said that there were actually children dead in the hospital basement?
No.
Oh, okay, what were you saying?
Not dead. No, I was just saying that they have little kids, little babies, maybe 2 to 5 years old, and they keep them on the basement floor, the bottom floor.
Okay.
They do this, and they have that in another facility also. And it just is beyond me how they can have a little kid. Why would they be in a mental hospital?
Mm-hmm.
And then I know that
kept in the basement. The basement floor.
Exactly, on the very bottom.
So this is all the way down on the bottom. Okay, but now, was this little boy's body discovered from that same hospital?
Yes, and he's like 5 years old, and I'm still.
And
I mean, I have my own thoughts and my own opinions on what could have happened to him.
Yeah, yeah. But then now, was he found dead in the basement of the hospital?
I'm not sure where he was found dead. It doesn't say. All I've read was that article.
Okay, because it might have been somebody else that actually told me that there was more than him found there. But I could have got that mixed up, but we definitely want to get the accurate story with that. But that is a very interesting part. And why are they down in the basement of this hospital? Okay, I want to try to get like all the stories. So I'm gonna I'm going to have you each speak. I'm going to have Don Rufty speak about the criminal activity and why we've discussed it before, but we need more people hearing this, why they belong in jail, why they belong in prison for these criminal acts against mankind. But before I go to Don, I'm going to hold off on that a little bit. I need the, where is it now? I'm going to have to look for it myself. Let's see. So you guys can hear some of the good news at least. So we have, this is one. And I did show this in a very short piece. Very, very short piece. Let's see. But I'm going to show it in this particular episode on exposing West Virginia. And there's going to be, there's a lot. We have so much information. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to all fit it in this one tonight. We may have to go back and do a part 2. We have more testimonials on what's going on in West Virginia. And also the fact that we've discovered that there are sex trafficking and child trafficking rings right in West Virginia. I know it doesn't surprise you. I'm sure it doesn't surprise you. But their haphazard ways of making decisions are affecting families. Okay, so this is, again, we're talking Charleston, West Virginia now. If I can pull this up. And some of you have seen this article, but some of you have not. West Virginia judge, hold on a minute, let's just get rid of that. West Virginia judge suspended for code of conduct violation. So we're getting someplace finally. We're getting someplace. This is unheard of in West Virginia. January 6th, okay, 3 days after global citizens arrest, January 6th, 2018. Why are people so angry that we're exposing? Why? We always must expose. The Bible tells us to expose. Expose people. It says so. Expose, debunk, make sure, and clarify and clear up. Very important, because when you don't, you're harming the innocent. You're harming the innocent in some way or in some forth. And that's why they want to keep things hidden. That's why they gag order people. Okay, that's why people don't want you to expose them when they do wrong. They can do wrong to you and keep pounding you and doing wrong to you. But don't expose them. They'll go nuts. Okay, and so this is not, and this is what these judges do. Don't expose you. Gag order everybody. Silence everybody. No, that's not forthright. There's no integrity in that. Zero. And you have to know when you have a clear conscience that you have the right to expose. Okay? Charleston, West Virginia. West Virginia judge has been suspended for 45 days without pay. Violations in 2 cases in which defendants died. Charleston Gazette-Mail reports that the West Virginia Supreme Court ruled this week to suspend Kanawha County Magistrate Jack Pauley. The court also censured Pauley for violations and judicial code of conduct. Now listen, 45 days, okay? That's not a long time, but for West Virginia, that's a big breakthrough. That's not a long time. That's a slap on the hand, but it's still something. A lot of these courts that we know with all kinds of abuse to families, and like Don Rufty's going to go into, okay, you'd be in jail for this crap. Anybody else would be in jail for this crap. And then it said that he accepted the charges during a November hearing, etc., etc., etc. Okay, we're going to skip on that one now because we don't have that much time. Hold on. Let's see. You got former. Here we go. We got former And then we're going to have the several guests talk. The former West Virginia Child Protective Service worker to serve up to 20 years. Okay, this is another good one. So here's the good news, folks. And thank God, you know, we have to expose people face and name for their violations and what they're doing. They pretend to be what they're not. Okay, they're pretending to be a child advocate here. They're pretending to be somebody that's for children right here. Okay, they're pretending to be a judge, right? But we don't talk about it if we just keep quiet and we don't talk about what they're doing and the violations that they're doing. So this one's up to 20 years, which is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. We want to see more of that. Here we have one. West Virginia Metro News State falling short of protecting children. Okay. A new report by West Virginia Legislative Auditor includes disturbing findings. Okay. Disturbing findings. That one's back in August of 2013. This was an audit. And this is quite sad when you think about it, that it was back in 2013 and yet in 2018 it is still happening. And here you've got, if you can see, I don't know if you can see this, 13 child fatalities here. And how they're failing. And how badly they're failing. Okay? West Virginia struggling to find child protection workers, it says here. Do you actually believe this? Do you actually believe this? Because they're there to abuse. And they're doing a horrible job. Here's the one on the senator that I wanted to show you guys. And then I'm going to have, like I said, we've got other important things. I want to show you guys David Hauser-Deegan, but I'm not going to probably be able to show that tonight. But I do recommend that you guys go to YouTube and look it up. This is West Virginia State Senator resigns, citing other obligations, okay? But that's not the real reason, okay? And he was over 3 counties, Charleston, West Virginia, State Senator Jeff Mullins, representing a swath of southern West Virginians, says he's resigning because of a business and family obligation. However, Mullins, who has held the seat in 2015, chairs the Senate Banking and Insurance Committee. The state includes Raleigh, Wyoming, and part of McDowell counties. According to his biography, and I'm having a frozen computer here. Here we go. It's not going to play. Okay. All right. I'm going to have, I'm going to go ahead and in just a second here, I'm going to have Don Ruffey talk about, Don, if you don't mind, I'd like you to explain, and I got to keep it within 3 minutes each person, please, because I also need Ron, and I also need Mike to talk, or, yeah. But Don, can you please go ahead and just talk a little bit about why these judges belong in jail?
Okay. You said something very pertinent earlier. You mentioned that these difficulties all stem from the judges issuing illicit court orders against the litigants, and that's the whole problem. Okay, it all comes under U.S. Code Title 18, Section 242, and I'm going to read that to you. Okay, so I'm not just going to remember this off the top of my head. I'm going to read it to you word for word. It says, all right, U.S. Code Title 18, Section 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. By the way, Robert Slavin called me this morning. We were talking, and he said that that President Trump recently made a talk in which he referenced deprivation of rights, but he wasn't able to find it. So if anybody knows where that is, please send me the link. Okay, continuing. Deprivation of rights under color of law. Section 242 of Title 18 makes it a crime for a person acting under color of any law to willfully deprive a person of a right or privilege protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States. For the purpose of Section 242, acts under color of law include acts not only done by federal, state, or local officials within their lawful authority, but also acts done beyond the bounds of that official's lawful authority. If the acts are done while the official is purporting to or pretending to act in the performance of his or her official duties. Persons acting under color of law within the meaning of this statute include police officers, prison guards, and other law enforcement officials, as well as judges,
Yeah.
care providers in public health facilities, and others who are acting as public officials. It is not necessary that the crime be motivated by animus toward the race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or familial status, or national origin of the victim. The offense is punishable by a range of imprisonment up to a life term, or the death penalty, depending upon the circumstances of the crime and the resulting injury, if any. That's it.
So
it's not like read a book. I think it would probably be a good idea for everybody to print this out and post it right up on a wall in their house somewhere so they can see it. They should be very, very familiar with this, because this is where the tire meets the road. This is the whole deal.
it's clear as can be.
When I was talking to Robert this morning, I said, some people think I'm kind of a legal. I am not.
Right.
I said,
So basic.
Robert probably knows no telling how many more times about the law than I do, although back in the 90s we did a lot of research on the law, so we found out a lot of interesting things. But the only thing I really want to know is what counts. This, what I just read to you, is enough to entitle any of these crooked judges who have violated a person's rights, don't even have to be a citizen, just a person, human being, violate their rights, to a prison sentence. And this is what we should collectively, as a movement, insist upon. We should demand this. We should demand that the law be enforced, that the crooked judges be prosecuted. And we will need to do that collectively. If we want to bring down the family court racket, in my view, that is exactly what we have to do. We have to all come together with a single purpose. We have to focus like a laser beam on these judges. Now, see, for decades that I know of, these judges have utilized a divide and conquer strategy against the American people. They bring some little litigant, man or woman, into court, and this whole cadre of crooks jumps all over them, which is like, throwing a Christian to the lions. They have absolutely no chance whatsoever. It's like
right.
Somebody
That's
walking
exactly.
into a crooked casino, sitting down and playing 21 or blackjack against a crooked dealer who's using a crooked deck. And I know about those things. So they would have no chance. The best card counter in the world, Don Burleson, would not have a chance. He'd get eaten alive in that circumstance. Okay? So, but we've always heard it, there's strength in numbers, and unity there's strength. We are coming together. And I think that's really what you bring to the table, Francesca. You are really good at bringing people together. And it's very encouraging to see people coming together, especially in the last couple of years. The video that was done in D.C. about the Million Parent March, Kathleen Authors, was just exhilarating to watch. It's just so well done. Robert never seen that before. I sent it to him this morning. I sent that to Chris Hallett about a week ago, and he said, awesome. It really, really is.
It is.
See, these people, we made a really big statement in Washington last September. And I think that I personally believe that the president is coming step by step by step in our direction.
He is.
I
know that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the end result is he's going to arise as a champion of the American people, which is what he always said he wanted to be. And he's got the opportunity, and we can make him look like a hero. I can guarantee you that. And we should be delighted to do so.
I know that everybody doesn't agree, but I agree, and I know that a lot. It's like anything else. Anybody that's in the public eye, if you're doing the right thing and you have the right heart, you're still going to get your naysayers. They're still going to be out there because they really don't want the right change. They don't want the right thing happening. And then you've got all of the people that obviously voted for him, and there he is, and I'm glad he is. I'm glad he's there. So
okay, let me address that, Francesca. I know you like to think kindly of people, and I think it is good sometimes.
Well, thank you, Don, for knowing me, for actually knowing me. Thank you.
Okay.
And for seeing that.
But I believe that really is a misunderstanding, because up up until like a couple of years ago, the moles held sway over the people, the family rights community. They had them people convinced that these judges have absolute immunity, which is an absolute lie.
Yep.
They do not. Well, I just read it to you. They do not have absolute immunity. They do have some limited immunity in terms of discretion for one thing or another.
Right, but not absolute.
But when it comes to, you mentioned tonight, mentioned gag orders. They don't have any immunity for that.
Of course not. That's the biggest. That's the biggest. That's the biggest violation.
Violation of the right to free speech. That's a felony.
That is a felony. So what happens to somebody that? What happens to somebody that commits a felony like that under color of law like that? What happens?
What happens to it? Okay, this is the whole problem. Nothing happens to them. They're committing. When we can change that.
Right.
We can change that if we do it.
Well, let me rephrase it. What is supposed to happen to somebody under color of law that violates the person's rights and give them a gag order, which is indeed a felony? What is supposed to happen, Don?
Okay, all right. What is supposed to happen? It comes under Rules 3 and 4 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. They're also pretty concise, and essentially they say that a person whose rights have been violated should submit their complaint in writing. You can't just whisper it in the guy's ear or something like that. He should put it in writing. It doesn't specify any particular fancy form. But I was telling Chris Hallett, I bet she could make it look great.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have enough people right now that can write and do complete criminal charges. I have enough attorneys on my board to do it. We have enough people with a wealth of experience that we can do this. We can do this together. We could collaborate this, and we can destroy them. We can literally put them behind bars, because if you have enough people supporting it, which we do. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, here's the strategy. We do need a template for this purpose. Fill in the blanks of whatever the particulars were in your particular case.
And
right?
the names.
Now, I believe that what we need right now is some Rosa Parks type cases. In other words, some slam dunk cases.
Right. Which
cases, and Missy has one in West Virginia, and also
she sure does.
Mark Holborn has one also.
Oh, he sure does. Yeah.
And because they've got gag orders.
Landmark cases. Cases.
I was able to get Mark to send us this court order. And it's there, and so this is easily provable by anybody who can read from the cold record. It's black and white. It's a slam dunk. Okay, even a rookie prosecutor should be able to win that case, get that conviction. Okay, that's one instance, and another is denial of jury trial. Now, everybody doesn't demand a jury trial or let it be known that they would like to have a jury trial, although they're entitled to have one.
Every right to a jury trial. Everything is completely backwards, and yet they're not getting jury trials as if because it's a lower court, you're not entitled to one. But that actually goes completely against our rights.
Yeah, that's a Seventh Amendment violation. Richard tell you that. He probably quoted it verbatim. And so, but also like in the case of North Carolina and probably in a lot of other state constitutions, Articles 24 and 25 in the North Carolina Constitution say that the right to jury trial is inviolable, and it's essentially the best way to decide any matter. So you got the the United States Constitution saying you're entitled to a jury trial, the North Carolina Constitution saying you're entitled to a jury trial, and probably the same thing in other cases as well. And then in North Carolina, something kind of interesting that I don't remember, it's 24 or 25, but that's the two of them.
Yeah.
It says the right to trial de novo is inviolate. Okay, and so what that means is like Latin for a new trial. And back in the day, and from when I was going through this ringer from 1995 to 1997, I designed forms for those. They look pretty good. and get them notarized and file it into the case and to the cold record. I think it really caused them a lot of problems. I think it caused them a lot of uneasiness.
Yeah.
And I wound up with 5 judges in my case before it was over with.
Yeah, no, I've been through that. I've done that too. I've named that tune too. Don, because I'm literally on 3% battery, I want to get Ron Collins on real quick so he can talk, but I appreciate that. We're going to have to take this story further.
Okay,
go ahead.
Let me sum it up real quick. You put it in writing.
Yep.
All right, and then you give it to a federal magistrate judge, as the law reads, who, upon receipt of such, shall issue a warrant for the accused.
How
about that?
That's going to be fun.
That's the deal right there.
I like that.
But we need to collectively insist that that be done.
Yes. And that's what we need to work. That's what we're going to work on. We're going to show more exposing. We've got more on the sex trafficking part, which is really important. Really important to get that exposed out of West Virginia. I'm going to thank you, Don, so much. I'm going to have Ron Collins right now, please. And I know you have something to share too. So if you want to screen share what you have while you talk, Ron, and literally if you can try to get this within 5 minutes.
I'm on my phone at the moment.
Okay, I will do it. I will do it. Let me just, you sent it to me?
Alright. Yeah, I sent it to you through Messenger.
That's it. Now it's not, I'm not going to get it in Messenger. I'm not going to get it in Messenger unless you bring it up to the top again, because I am, okay, just start talking. Start talking. Okay. And there's another CPS worker. I'm just going to read this real quick. I just want to say, Assistant Prosecutor Gary L. Michaels, before you talk, CPS worker supervisor Heather Maynez is free to do anything she wants in this court in Wayne, West Virginia, destroying families. Okay, I just want to show that because somebody had put that up. I can't do it right this minute, Ron, so if you could go ahead and tell your story, and if you can kind of keep it in 3 to 5 minutes, that'd be awesome. I'm sorry about that. Sorry.
Well, that'd be kind of hard. It was actually kind of long.
We're gonna go to part 2 on this.
Alright, there's multiple sides to this.
Yeah.
And I didn't learn everything all in one setting. In fact, I even went through and investigated a lot of stuff myself.
Yeah.
Kind of under the table.
And Ron, tell everybody what you do. Tell everybody what you do, Ron. What do you do? What are you?
I'm actually a martial arts instructor. I teach ninjutsu, so yes, I'm a ninja.
Yeah.
That is my job. I'm a professional ninja. As ironic as that.
I know, it's amazing that on my core team I have a professional ninja and I have a lethal weapon. I just love it. But go ahead. 2 lethals. Yeah. I got 2 lethals.
Well, actually, stuff's got so bad out here. I'm taken to carrying a gun on me at all times. So, yeah, in my case, it was actually 3 different little things going on at one time, or that I didn't quite see. So I got involved in a lot of stuff, and I got involved into it kind of off the books. I fell back on a combination of the ninjutsu training and the stuff I learned from the military police.
Mm-hmm.
I did 3.5 years of infantry. I actually got to work with military intelligence a little bit during that time, and I was actually military intelligence when it came to being an MP in the research.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
and yet people want to mess with me.
Is I was originally brought up on criminal charges, and there was a lot.
I'm just going to wait for more people to hop on right now a little bit. We're going to talk about the state of West Virginia. We will be talking about the state of New York as well. I do plan on hitting every state, so don't get mad at me if I haven't mentioned yours yet. We are not leaving out any states in this country. So now I do have, let's see, Dorothy, what's the agenda? So much going on, including the crook FBI agent Peter I can't say his name, Tsiak. FBI agent Peter Tsiak. Maybe I'll get you on here, Dorothy, when I'm all set with Rich. So welcome, everybody. I see you guys getting on. I don't want to leave anybody out, but I do see you guys, and I do say hello. I'm on with Rich. He's actually the one of the chapter leaders for the state of West Virginia. Happy to say that we have a everyday growing team. Now, I do see you guys writing me tons and tons of inbox messages right now, and I think a really cool thing to do, guys, is to turn on your notifications for my lives, because a lot of the questions that you ask me, I answer on the lives. One of the 2 states that we're hitting right now, direct hits, will be the state of New York and the state of West Virginia. That does not mean that we will be eliminating any other states. Okay? We are happy to hit every single state. Now, as you guys know, right now we have a 4-day class going on. It started yesterday. It's being taught by William C. Fisher, or Bill. Hey, Brian, I know you guys are all in Ohio right now, and I'm jealous. I want to be there so bad. You guys sent me pictures. Many of you are sporting Punish for Protecting t-shirts and hoodies, and that's really cool because someone came out here. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but anyway, and I hooked them up there. So I'm happy about that. That was really cool. I was almost in tears when I saw you guys with all the love. And I will make sure I make the next one out to Ohio for sure. But it was kind of last minute for me. But we do have our own 4-day class right now. Started yesterday, last night. We had 54 people, but we've just doubled the amount of people starting for Monday. This is quite exciting. And I'm really happy to see you guys wanting to learn, wanting to advocate, get empowered, okay? Get empowered. This is all about the attack on our country, the attack on our Constitution, and these courts, these maritime courts, kangaroo courts, courts that are not following our laws and abusing their discretion, abusing their power. One of these states, though, and this is it's why we have Rich on tonight. So listen, guys, when he goes live, make sure you get on his page, Richard Provost, and as long as he's not interfering with my lives, okay, you have the permission to go watch him. Just kidding. So listen, make sure you guys, watch turn on the notifications for his as well. Rich was one of the first, I believe the actual first interviews that I did back in August of last year, before this took off. And when I interacted with Rich and talked to Rich and interviewed Rich prior and after, I appointed him as chapter leader for West Virginia, one of my chapter leaders. And the reason being is he has beat something there several times over that is not possible to beat. And he didn't do it in the way that you'd expect. So that's why I have him on tonight. He's going to actually kind of go over some of that, some of his strategies, and how he handled it, and how it's not hard for anyone if you don't tolerate what they're doing. One of the things that I push the most, and I tell this to every parent, the most important person in your life should be your children. The person that you should be the most fearless for is your children. They've already abused you. They've already locked you up. They've already abused your children. They've already stolen your children. What's left? If you don't come forward, and I know Billy completely agrees, if you let those gag orders gag you, you've just bowed down to a gag order. Makes no sense. The way you break a gag order is you talk. The way you break a gag order is you exposed. You know what, guys? Listen, we got to do this. We have to do this. We are one united nation and now globe that has to speak out. And let me tell you what we're about to start showing. Tonight's just a small appetizer on the dirt that we have on West Virginia. We got a whole lot more to come, and we just want to give you guys a little appetizer right now. Jen Dodge, Richard's last name is Provost, P-R-O-V like victory, O-S like Sam, T like Tom. Definitely follow his page. Hi, Chris Griffin, or should I say President? That's another thing too, guys. Listen, I am so proud of all of you that are out there right now going for positions and offices to take back our country. Hey, Daniel, I see you there, Enterprise, West Virginia, cool beans. I am really, really proud of you guys, and I chose to do that here too, in the state of New York, especially when I found out who's running next. We can't let that happen. And I'm going to tell you something. My campaign is going to be a campaign like you've never seen. Never in the history of time. It's going to be very different than you've ever seen. It's about damn time that we've got real people running for offices, and they're not politicians. We don't want that crap no more. No, they're real people who actually realize what the position is. It's a public servant. Wow, what a novel idea. We're here to serve the public. Oh, and we don't have an agenda, right? So, or a motive, or our hand in the cookie jar. So, without further ado, I've got some cool stuff to expose, but Rich, why don't you go ahead and lay a little foundation, a little bit about your story, how you beat kangaroo court, and then I want to show some stuff that we've got some really great stuff some judges coming down in West Virginia, you know, some other political parties coming down.
What the kangaroo courts are, because I don't want to get people confused.
You want me to start with that a little bit? Okay, so
Yeah.
well, it's another name for maritime court. It's another name for maritime court. When I went to court watch a kangaroo court in West Virginia, not that long ago. I went out there and, you know, took an 8.5 hour drive out there each way, to stand in for somebody, to do what I'm legally allowed to do as an advocate. I have every right to do. We have every right to sit in these courts. They can't close the doors of these courts. That's a bunch of bullcrap. And this gag ordering judge thinks he can gag order me too. I've never been served with anything. First of all, he has no legal precedence nor right to gag me as a broadcaster or anybody else I broadcast with when I expose them. I was told to leave. I chose to leave because of the fact that I do see how crazy they are and actually quite ignorant. They don't even know their own laws. But when I was there, there was the tassel hanging from the flag in front of the court. It said closed court. There's no such thing as a closed court, okay? Hey, guys, listen, get on our classes. If you missed the Saturday night class, the 6:30, where Billy went over how to be an advocate. It was very extensive on how to be an advocate. It's very, very common language type of thing, you know, not intense. It's really, you know, just relational, and it gets me to get to know you guys better, because so many want to be chapter leaders and you guys want help in your states, you want help in your cases, you want, I need to get to know you better too, to see where I can appoint you to as advocates and so on, and that helps me a great deal to have you guys complete the 4-day. However, if you missed it Saturday, don't freak out. You can still go to fight4lily at gmail.com. Sorry, fight4lily at gmail.com, and just request that you want to be in the class. You will receive the information to do so. It is completely free. It's 4 days, 3 hours a piece, and there is a suggested donation of $25. Anyway, Rich, talk a little bit about what you went through, a personal case. This is unbelievably a corrupt state, okay? And I know they're all corrupt. They're all corrupt. Some are more corrupt than others. This is unbelievably a corrupt state. They close you at every angle. If you serve a judge that you're going to appeal, they tell you that you can't appeal them. It's crazy making. I mean, utter crazy making. I did walk out of that court because I didn't want to trust the judge not to put the person I was court watching in jail, and I don't want her in jail. Otherwise, I would have literally just destroyed him in that courtroom. He didn't even know the law he was throwing me out with. He didn't even know it. He had to give it to me later, and it was a non-existent law because we've already combated that. It's not real, and you cannot legally gag order anyone in our country. That is complete. That's actually a felony charge against this judge, but we're working on that. So go ahead, Rich.
Let me start out what it started into. Well, I put a stop to visitation because my son's mother was in Alderson Federal Prison on drug charges. So it turned from that to CPS taking me to court. And I recognized that they didn't recognize the United States Constitution. I had, they violated every right I had. So, I mean, these types of court hearings, nothing matters. You can't go in there and preach the Constitution or your rights because it don't exist. They don't exist. It doesn't matter. You can't file anything into the court. It's blocked. So I had to go a different route that it was risky. I was just basically learning, when I was thrown into this, I had absolutely zero knowledge of laws, CPS policies, procedures, absolutely nothing. So like I said, I had nothing in court. So I just, the first thing I learned was not to sign a safety plan. That was at the last minute. Wood County CPS to come in there and they're like, you got to sign this, you got to sign this. And I said, let me look at it. And I voided it out and handed it to them. They got all PO'd over it. Then with the whole strategy behind it, and I'll go over it real quick, not to drag it out, but the strategy I use, which I have a guide coming out, and it's pinpoint accurate from when CPS shows up at your house to the final hearing. So what you have to do, you can't go in there, you can't file nothing. You basically, like Thomas Deegan went in when he was getting false allegations of terrorist threat. He went in there and started preaching the United States Constitution, they removed him from court. So that's what they do, is if you know too much of your rights, United States Constitution, they'll immediately gag you and you can't do anything. So, I went a completely different route, and I risked a lot of things. Like, part of the strategy is you have to like I said, in order to beat the kangaroo process, I was in like level 3, the highest you can get, kangaroo court. So basically, you have to stop CPS.
Well, hold on there. I don't know why I'm echoing back. You know what? You're probably watching this at the same time. You need to shut that part off. You can't watch it while you're on it. Are you on 2 different devices?
How about that?
Yeah, because otherwise you're going to hear me. Okay, so you need to explain. There's level 1, level 2, and level 3 kangaroo court. You need to define that so people understand what that means.
Well, all levels, there's violations all over the place. Like the first level, some people will go in like for a speeding ticket, and they'll already be in court, and there's already a decision made. That's one. So it's like before you even go, you know what I'm saying? Like you go and get like a speeding ticket, and you're supposed to be at say 3:30, and then you show up, and they're already in court. It's already over. Level 2 is like basically just like collaborated corruption in the court. It's still, they violate everything. You still can't file anything. And it's just collaboration in the court. It could be with because, it's all the judge. I mean, he's the main guy, he's the smartest guy. He's the best actor in court, actually. And what I was thrown into was a level 3, which was, it was in court and out of court collaborated corruption. So yeah, that's the difference. I mean, there's different levels. So like in West Virginia, there's just nothing you can do. And so that's why they're gag ordering all these parents, but you don't even hear about. So yeah, so the part of the strategy I come up with is basically you have to shut down CPS and guardian ad litems outside of court. That's because what they'll do, of course, everybody knows, they'll show up at your house, make false allegations, and then that's like the worst advice ever given, when they say take all allegations serious and cooperate. That's the worst advice, because as soon as you start to cooperate with them, they open up a case on you. And then like they did say, I didn't even know any of this. So like a 15-minute conversation turns into a 2-hour conversation with like a 10-page report, nothing on it. And then and let me see. So yeah, you got to shut them down, because what they'll do, they'll come to your house, and then they'll go immediately go to your child's school. So what you want to do, I'm sorry, in this case, when they first time they show up, I don't care what you want to do. You want to immediately obtain your child's school records. You want to immediately obtain their medical records, along with your medical records and any records that you can get a hold of. Because what they do, if you don't do this immediately, you'll find that like they did in my son's case, they're still withholding, they wouldn't cooperate any longer. And so if you don't get all your medical records and school records, you'll find that the school or the doctors will not cooperate. You will not get any of the medical records or the school records, and they'll lie. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't get all this documentation, you have nothing to defend yourself in court. So, and that's another good thing. I'm just going to give her some quick stuff. Like, the way I was burning them was, well, I'll go over the funny thing. Like, 2011. Now, I went to me into court 2012. Now, this is unheard of. I've heard of nobody doing it. And something told me in the back of my head, said, change your signature, change your name. And I was like, what? So I completely changed my, this is not a lie, Francesca's seen it. I completely changed my entire handwriting in my signature. So they took me into kangaroo court. So I prevented them from using my medical records against me. And they're like, are you serious? So like that. And another thing is, since these it's all connected through West Virginia, so you don't want to ever give your attorney any
So
information.
they forged his signature. They forged his signature, basically. They forged it, so he had changed his signature, but he didn't know they were going to do that. It's like thinking ahead of what they're going to do, and so it worked against them instead of for them. So he got them, which that's what he's trying to explain.
Yeah.
Hang on 1 second, Rich. I just want to answer Shonda's question because it's very important. I see your question, and the parent advocacy training course is actually is not a live Facebook course. It started Saturday night. If you missed it Saturday, that's okay. Okay, to anybody else who wants to know about this, we really want you in these classes. You need to register. Okay, it's in 4 parts. And you need to register to be empowered so that this either A, doesn't happen to you, B, if it's already happened, you know how to turn it around, and C, you know how to not allow them to continue to violate your rights. So just go to fight4lily@gmail.com, and the instructor is Billy, from the Fight for Lily Foundation. And it's and if you go there and just register, he'll send you back the information. Simply just write him an email saying that you want to take the class. Whatever you missed Saturday, we're going to recap on Monday night. Monday night is 8 p.m. Wednesday night is 8 p.m. 8 or 8:30. I think it's 8. And Friday. Okay, so if you missed the first night, guys, we're going to recap, but they are 3 hours apiece. It's a free course, but we do have a suggested donation of $25. All right. So anyway. Go ahead, Rich. I just want to answer that because I saw that popping up. And
where was I? I lost myself.
So you changed your signature. You changed your signature, and you kind of were always 10 steps ahead of them.
I swear to you, not. That just popped in my head. Like, you know, I'm telling you what, I've never prayed so much in my life. And so what was the other things I was? So like I said, I'm like if you go in there and you're acting like an attorney in these courts in West Virginia, and there's a lot of other courts. They'll gag you. It doesn't matter. They did it to Thomas Deegan, very brilliant person. So I'm trying to think. Yeah, so I'd cooperate with CPS, and then I'd stop cooperating. So what else was I doing? Yeah, and the best thing to do, which threw him off, was I was taking CPS policies and procedures, court documents, guardian ad litem, roles and duties of guardian ad litems. I had some amendment rights in there. I took all this documentation, and I was like, hey, look what I got. Look what I got. And they're sitting there going, are you serious? It was like little things like this that was throwing them off. So now they couldn't argue me because, you know, if a judge is not knowledgeable enough in CPS rules, regulations, and procedures, certain laws, he actually has to get up, whatever, put a halt to the hearing, go back and review it and have all this crap print off. And they can't even start the hearing until it's gone over. Well, they wouldn't do that because they know I was right. So basically, they wouldn't challenge me anything in court. They would not. And that's the thing of it is, if you know just a little bit about the laws, they freeze up. So like one hearing, like I said, I took the United States Constitution, and like this is also unheard of. And I, you know, they knew that I had, you know, United States Constitution, most of it in my hand. You got to wave it around. You're going to take all this document to court. And I said, I want to exceed my First Amendment. And the judge, you're looking at me sort of funny for an hour. This is no lie. God is my witness. For like an hour and like 15, 20 minutes, the judge did not stop me. That is unheard of. And it was so funny. But what else? There's just a lot of others. Yeah, I mean, I'd pull it like right now, everybody's listening. I would pull your children out of school because the schools are conspiring with the state. Well, but the state of West Virginia, in fact, in child trafficking. That's why Justice wants to change homeschooling into educational neglect. And this is another fact that people got to understand that it's not CPS policies or procedures, nor do they have the authority to investigate educational neglect or homeschooling. Because I'll go with West Virginia, because CPS is not a division of West Virginia Department of Education. West Virginia is CPS is strictly a division of the Department of Human Health and Resources. And I say CPS was not a division of West Virginia Department of Education. They're strictly a division of Department of Health and Human Resources. So there's not even. Do you have a question?
Well, no, I want to answer. Oh man, I just lost it. Juan, there's no such thing as a closed court. They cannot legally close any court from the public. They cannot. We're going over that in the class too, so we'll get more on that, but that's what I was talking about. They cannot legally close you out of a court, especially as an advocate. Parents have ADA rights, even if you're not disabled. Even if you've not been given a disability, you're automatically, your ADA, your American with Disability, is immediately violated when they take your children. Immediately, that second that they take your children from a fit parent without a finding of unfitness, or with a false finding of unfitness. Like if a judge says you're unfit, well, where do they have the background to do that? They're a judge. They're not a therapist. They're not a psychologist. They're not a doctor. Where they make you sign something under duress, where they make you agree to something because they're making you do it. They're pushing you between a rock and a hard place. So they do not have a legal right to throw me out of a court as an advocate, as a voice for somebody, as somebody's shoulder to cry on, somebody to lean on. You have the right to have the support of your entire family in these courts, and your family should be speaking up. Okay, you didn't become a criminal because you became a parent, and you need to have things resolved in your family. First of all, it's kangaroo anyway. It's not real to begin with. It's fake. All these people are suffering over a fake court. It's really pretty fun. And here's the thing too. If the people of West Virginia stay hidden, you're going to continue to get abused. It's just that simple. Okay, anything hidden in darkness must be exposed into the glorious light. You cannot remain hidden. You cannot remain scared. You cannot. So go ahead, Rich.
Okay, yeah. So like this is the thing, is like CPS, I mean, everybody gets, we need to go over, I mean, I think it was, who was an advocate under me? Was it Becky? Is it Henderson? And she asked me, talking about filing the same case number. And she asked me what was I can't remember. I don't know what section. I'm not an attorney, but I know you can't file so yeah, you don't get like multiple petitions. That's what they were doing to me, was I was getting like, I don't know, 2 or 3 different motion orders, petitions, blah, 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 blah. Hold on for a second. I'll go to the store. It's my Sonic.
But
so,
they
yeah, I didn't even know anything.
Me and my family and friends BS. Yeah, they do. Okay, so here's the point, guys. Okay, listen, here's the point. I'm going to respond to Dorothy, too. Here's the point. Your Constitution is your Constitution, whether they like it or not. Your Constitution is your protection, whether they follow it or not. Your Constitution, our Constitution protects us, period, in these courts in every state in our country. Whether they have been lying about it for a million years or not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Dorothy, exactly. Judges don't have the jurisdiction to ascertain if someone is a capable parent or not. That's right. That's right. Nor do these CPS workers either. And 99% of them are not even, they're not even social workers. They don't even have a bachelor's degree. And if they do, it's not in family law. It's not in, they don't have the credentials. They don't have the credentials. Matter of fact, for the kind of work that they're doing, they should have it. They should carry a master's degree. And forget about it in West Virginia. In West Virginia, the attorneys don't even have bar licenses. Not that I believe in the bar, right, Rich? And these judges, they fell off a box of Wheaties.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I could have handed him his head on a platter in that court. I couldn't get over the ignorance I was dealing with, honestly.
I beat them so bad with no knowledge. Like I said in the classes yesterday, I beat them so bad. It was like Michael Jordan playing one-on-one with kindergarten kids. There was an attorney that had like 45 years experience in there, and I destroyed him, and I don't know anything. But anyway. And
the point behind that is they never anticipated you to do this. And the other point behind that is he did not lose. In this case, he did not use law. You weren't really educated in law. You kind of used, what would you say you used? More like common sense and being like 10 steps.
I'd stay up for like, well, see, this is another thing. And this is how dumb and brilliant these attorneys make. It's hard to tell. They probably make about $1 million a month in West Virginia. But this is so dumb. And this is how I was picking them off, is that the motion and the orders
not ladies, yeah.
in the petitions that were not filed to just say copy on them, it gave away what they were trying to do. And I picked that off like in 2 seconds. So I'm like, bunch of dumbasses. So they basically were giving away what they were doing ahead of time. So I was using that against them, and like, you know, just going in there and pissing them off, just like doing stupid stuff like talking about telling the judge he can't make a clear-headed decision without looking at my relevant evidence. And he's like, looks at me like, and I kept making him mad because I kept asking the judge, I learned about confer with your attorney. And I'm sitting there, can I confer with my attorney, Your Honor? And they're looking at me like, he's learning
Hold that one right there.
So, I mean,
Listen to this, guys. Listen to this, guy. So he kept saying, can I confer with my attorney? Can I confer with my attorney? But he's speaking for an hour and a half. Now, if anybody has any understanding of the court system, that's one thing when you have retained counsel. You don't talk, they talk for you. That's why they're your voice. And actually, a genuine name for advocate is actually lawyer. That's what Jesus did. He's our advocate. It's the same thing. That's why one end of it is corrupt and evil, and one end of it is the true thing. And that's why the attack is, if you want to really understand what's behind that, what spirit is behind that. Okay, but he talked for an hour and a half. That's not heard of. That's unheard of. I'm going to show the Thomas David House of Deegan a little. I'm going to show a piece of that for anybody who doesn't know who he is. Okay, he is an ultimate badass as far as I'm concerned. But we haven't seen him around for what, over a year, I think, Rich?
Yeah.
Thomas David?
Yeah, but that doesn't work in West Virginia. That was the thing. Because he would have, if they recognized that, he would have, shoot. But he was already.
He would have ate him up.
Oh, dude, he's a badass, dude. Oh, my gosh. Oh, geez. Probably about are you playing a clip on that?
I'm going to show a clip on it, yeah. I want to show a quick clip. Because I want to give them an idea of what we're talking about in West Virginia. This doesn't mean we stop fighting because they don't follow the Constitution. No, this means we hold these assholes accountable. And I got a whole bunch of really cool stuff to show you. But this is just, like I said, the appetizer. This is just the public stuff of the appetizer that we have on West Virginia. But then we're going to have a nice live coming up very soon with the real dirt we have on West Virginia. You see these judges right now, especially the one that told me to get out of his court. See, that don't play with me. I might sit back and be quiet for a while. Well, no, I'm never quiet. No, that I'm not. But I may be sitting back a little bit, but I'm contemplating and I'm setting it up and I'm preparing, because I'm going to tell you something. These judges are not going to get away with the abuse of children and families that they've been getting away with for so long. And when you got dirt that's this big on these judges, oh yeah. And when you've got dirt with their names on it, well, there comes a time when their game is over. So I'm going to go and show you this right now. Let me show you this. This is Thomas David, House of Deegan. This is his sentencing on April 4th. I got some wackadoodle that keeps writing me. I got to block him.
First, it's rule of evidence 901B5, opinion about the voice. An opinion identifying a person's voice, whether heard firsthand through mechanical or electronic transmission or recording, based on hearing the voice at any other time under circumstances that were connected with the alleged speaker. So that's really the standard. There was a case. This is another memorandum opinion by the Supreme Court. Of course, I know it's not binding draft, but it's instructive. It's State versus Spalding, 2015 Westlaw 3875802, some opinion number 14-0718. And it cites Rule 901 during authentication. But it says preliminary questions of authentication and identification pursuant to Rule 901 are treated as matters of traditional relevance, and thus are governed by the procedure set forth in West Virginia Rule Criminal or Evidence 104B. In an analysis under West Virginia Rule of Evidence 901, a trial judge must find that the party offering the evidence has made a prima facie showing that there is sufficient evidence to support a finding that the matter in question is what is the claim. In other words, the trial judge is required only to find that a reasonable juror could find in favor of authenticity or identification before the evidence is admitted. The trier of fact, the jury in this case, determines whether the evidence is credible. Further, a trial judge's ruling on authenticity will not be disturbed on appeal unless there has been discretion. So ultimately, it is the jury to decide whether the voice was that of the defendant.
Now watch him kick ass.
Or conclude that based on their verdict that they did so far. So the court believes it has been.
I have Black's Law, Amanda, too. I got the whole thing.
Turn the ground as a continuance due to lack of disclosure of evidence. Again, there's no evidence or allegation of prejudice. It's speculative, irrelevant at this point.
Isn't it sad that he has to read what he doesn't even, you can tell he doesn't even understand what he's reading. He's literally reading, like trying to figure it out. This is the judge.
There's no
West Virginia. But watch what Thomas David does. Even though they did arrest him and they put him in jail. But, you know, this guy's by himself. He's by himself with a big brain. Now we're all together. They can't mess with us. We're huge. And we're in charge at this point. And it's clear by the judges that are going down one by one, which I'm going to show you next. Yeah, he has no clue, Amanda. No clue. You can tell. Da, 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 da. Here, I'm going to fast forward a little bit because I want you guys to hear him. Here's what I want you to hear. Here you go. Let's.
Well, we'll see. I don't know that it's required, but I may very well be.
I will stand by my statements over and over again that I never conveyed a threat of any kind, nature, to any man or woman. Period. There's never been a threat I've ever made in my entire life, let alone at this time being accused. I'm innocent of those charges. I did grow a plant. That is true. For that offense, I was serving time. And I had served it dutifully without any problems of any nature or kind. I've been confined now for close to 22 months roughly, with no problems of any nature or kind. I was more central for on-home confinement. I was actually at the 14th month mark when picked up by the state police and was actually eligible for parole and had put in for parole approximately 2 months before that on that first charge. I now have 7 months in on this second charge. I looked at the pre-sentence investigation report. It appears that the index numbers stayed the same, which means that I'm no more a threat than I was last time. I would say I should be allowed to finish the original sentence pursuant to the contractual agreement with the state, roll off it to the new charge. And it appeared that in the pre-sentence investigation report that alternative sentencing was available. That's my under probation on that. I would like to see him served currently. But I feel that as I'm not a threat, and the evidence, the property seized from my home, they tore the home apart, did not find any weapon of any kind. They accused me of any kind of being dangerous, and yet actually been unable to prove that I'm dangerous. To society at large, I've
Hey guys, and welcome tonight to Punish for Protecting Facebook Live. Going to ask everybody tonight, as I welcome you on, to please invite your friends list for sure, because you're going to want to hear this tonight. And this is actually part 2. We've had a difficult time. We have not been able to keep our schedule regarding this particular exposing, but this is going to be finished finally tonight. And then we'll have both pieces edited into one piece for TV viewing. So welcome everybody. It's Punish for Protecting Facebook Live, and it's also West Virginia Exposed. And I have a few guests on tonight. We have a couple that is actually on as anonymous. We have Punish for Protecting West Virginia Chapter Leader Richard Provost. We have tonight also Ron Collins from West Virginia, and we have Mike McClure from West Virginia. And myself. We do have a large group of people who have been victimized by the state of West Virginia, violating the laws of our land, violating our Constitution, violating pretty much all we hold dear in our country. And well, what we are noticing is that exposing them by name and face has been very helpful to the success of many parents finally having their rights no longer violated. We're seeing children come home, families being restored, but we're also still in the middle of this horrific abusive system. What I'm going to start out with right now, I'm going to actually start with Ron Collins, and I'm going to introduce you to him right now. Just give me one moment, because I need to put a handle on my phone so that I can... Okay, sorry, I had to get a handle on my phone. So, Ron, hi, I'm going to introduce you to everybody. You're actually on live right now. Your mute is off. Okay. Ron, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Really not a lot. I did teach martial art. I've been a hand-to-hand combat instructor in the Army. I was Army infantry. I've written a bunch of books on martial arts, ninjutsu particularly. I've even written a few on like survivalism and prepping, stuff like that. Pretty much it. Everything else has just been the last 10 years has been me fighting the state of West Virginia.
Okay, your screen is actually froze, it looks like.
Okay.
I am going to pull up some of the stuff that you showed me, or that you sent to me. So the first article that we're looking at here, I don't know if you can actually see it yourself, but it's in the Magistrate Court, Raleigh County, West Virginia, State of West Virginia, case number 12F470471. Did you want to talk about this? This is a criminal complaint here.
What's it for? I've been charged by like 20 times. Like,
okay,
seriously.
so this is something that they've quote unquote charged you with, and it's a false allegation. All right, so I don't want to go into too much detail about some of the. I mean, we know about false allegations and how they're worked in every state in our country, and West Virginia is certainly one of them. But I really want to get more into, exposing the corruption. So I have a referral information and background, court order for reevaluation. I have a forensic psychiatric evaluation.
Yeah, okay. That's actually the fun part. That's the stuff I forgot to send you. I'll send you later. I'm filing a motion with the federal court. I'm asking 3 things. One is to be armed at all times.
Okay, let's talk about that. I'll bring you back on camera for everybody to see.
Okay. The other part to that motion is that I want to have the federal prosecutor involved. The last part to it is I just want them to, unflag the thing and with the case. But since it was flagged and I'm filing to have it to proceed, I'm actually showing them copies of my evidence to show where the actual corruption comes in at, or where the acts against my civil rights came in at. In that particular case, that's where Raleigh County prosecutor Christine Keller falsified evidence in my case by giving inappropriate evidence to a psychological examiner to have me found incompetent, to take away my right to to take away my due process of right to have a fair trial. Now the one you're talking about, the 13F1026, that's where I was charged with making terroristic threats.
Okay, so that's that would be this third document here. So you were charged with making terroristic threats, and then later it was completely found not true, right? Or it was they just
dismissed it. Christine Keller dismissed it on September 11th, 2015.
Yeah, and ironically, on September 11th of all days, she dismisses terroristic threats. I find that almost humorous.
Yeah, well, it gets worse because she was already caught falsifying the evidence.
Okay.
And that's what I'm suing her over now. And then that, whenever I take her into court, I'm going to have to prove that she took her actions in bad faith.
Okay.
There is a transcript from a hearing where I testified in that case, actually took the stand and gave testimony that I want to get the feds involved. Which is why I'm asking for the federal prosecutor to take a look at my case from the lawsuit and use that as probable cause to go in. Because the statements I made in my motion, basically I'm accusing these people of the human trafficking of minors, drugs, guns, whatever, basically tied to organized crime, and I can prove all of this. And it's really easy to prove. All you need is the marriage records for Daryl Lilly, who was the former president of the Avengers Motorcycle Club, which is considered organized crime by the state of West Virginia and the FBI, and his marriage to Michelle Jennings, who was a daughter of a magistrate here in Raleigh County. Well, Mary Jennings has always been involved in my court cases. Either her, Steve Massey, or Hutchinson. It's always falls between those until this last little bit, because I actually secretly recorded. That's the examination of the kangaroo courts of Raleigh County video, where Pat Lamp went in there and said that he didn't know anything about a second search warrant in the preceding case. Now, this isn't some clerical error, because a police officer had to go in and swear under oath that he got a second search warrant. You don't go in and swear under oath. You got a document that you had to get to swear oath to begin with. And all that comes down from this paper trail I created of filing complaints with the Office of Professional Standards.
Now, I'm wondering if this is this in here where I can pull some of this up, because I know that there's the in here there's the it says when we look at the evidence, the same case number from the warrant above is used on the court order, but no copy of a warrant or indictment, a direct violation of West Virginia Code 276A-2B. So that would be this right here, warrant for arrest, right there, right?
Right. Now, if you actually look up 27-6A -2 paragraph B, it says that there's a minimum of 5 things that has to be turned over. Number 1 is a copy of the warrant or indictment. Number 2 is any evidence pertaining to the case. She never turned over any evidence for that. And then I break that down by looking at the psychological report and everything else.
Right.
She actually gave false evidence to Dr. Miller to have him to say that I was incompetent.
And that would be this right here, okay? The case that Dr. Miller used to evaluate my knowledge of my case were already resolved. Here is the dismissal paperwork, and the paperwork showing the bound over numbers of the case from the clerk's office. And
right. Now, this is where this gets really bad. Because in order to cover up evidence, they charged me with possession of child pornography, but would never produce any of the evidence that they claim I possessed. And the warrant for the child pornography charge claims that they had copies of what they claim I possessed. How do you charge someone with possession of something and then not have the thing they supposedly possessed?
Right, absolutely.
That right there, yeah, that's where they're trying to discredit me and everything else. Because if you have that on you, not even criminals will deal with you or help you. And so I've kind of had this uphill battle of getting people to look at it, because they just hear with what I was charged with automatically.
Right, of course. And it's going to be, right, I get that. Okay.
And where I've been locked up with people who were charged with other sexual offenses, I've actually seen people in there who were parents that were charged with this stuff that was like completely, you could look over their paperwork and tell it's complete BS. and they were told by CPS, their wives, were told by CPS to divorce them, to pull their rights away from the kids and everything else, to make them look guilty of these things. And then for CPS to come in later and take them and put the kids in foster care and everything else.
Yeah, and this is very common in West Virginia. We definitely have seen it. It's occurring every day. I see that the attorneys are, whether they're paid attorneys there or public pretenders, they are not working for the people. They should actually be holding these judges accountable by our laws for allowing this, or, you know, perpetrating these crimes, literally, and yet they're not. So now, I mean, I've seen cases after cases where really good parents have their children taken away, placed into danger, ignored completely, sat in limbo, threatened, having to take parenting classes, or all kinds of nonsense, supervised visits, and false accusations, false fitness, documentation that they've never actually even had a fitness, any kind of mental evaluation done. Just on and on and on. I mean, it's not like I don't see this in other states, but what I notice about West Virginia is they just block anything that would be part of your due process of law, any evidence-based, anything, any appealing. They hinder it all.
See, that's where that's where one of the things about my case comes in so important. I did something that no one should ever do. I more or less infiltrated the people trying to set me up, which is where you get those blogs like we were talking about before, like the Life of the Modern Ninja blog.
Yeah, which I'm going to pull that up.
2012, 2013, but it actually shows a timeline for all the paperwork.
Yeah, and here we have the Life of the Modern Ninja blog.
Yeah, and it actually shows an actual timeline, deviations in the evidence, video. I mean, I put all this stuff out there, and I couldn't do it directly going against the state, so I used these little internet trolls in the community to just keep things going and keep them going and amped up and everything because they hate me. Right,
that's a great way to do it. I'm starting to like that myself, actually. I'm actually enjoying the fact that there's internet trolls that try to discredit you, and meanwhile, all they're doing is making you look real good.
Well, yeah, all they did was give me something to get out there vocally and be like, here's the evidence. I know I'm not going to change your mind. I'm not trying to change your mind. You don't care. But I'm going to put this out here for the world to see. And I've dealt with this thing where they followed me around the internet. They did it to this group on Facebook, Ninja Quest. They did it again when this whole martial arts thing with me and this other guy, Don Rowley, out in Colorado, when I drove out there to confront him. And my transmission went out of my car and all this other stuff happened. But it in that case, mixedmartialarts.com picked it up. So there's like this whole thing between these. So I can't get access to the PDF copy of all the stuff that was going on Ninja Quest, but I got access to all the stuff that took place over on mixedmartialarts.com. So it still shows these people stalking me and everything else. It was a nice little RICO case for me.
Yeah.
I mean, because these people actually interfered with my court cases at one time, but they actually helped me too. Like at one time, I had I forget what the charge was. It was a stalking and assault case, and I was found not guilty by a jury. My lawyer was actually more nervous about it. Like the jury went back there, like he's innocent, and then just came back out. They was back there for at least 15 minutes, and that was it. They come out and said I wasn't guilty, and that was it. That's part of the evidence that Christine Keller gave Dr. Miller and told him it's still relevant and going on in my case. The date that they mentioned, February 25th, 2011, was when they took my computers. This is before they even charged me with anything. When they took my computers to cover up the evidence that I had on there about the corruption going on in Beckley and how people were related and all, like the internal associations and everything.
Right. And just to update the viewers, because they don't really know. I know what you're talking about, but so these people were actually all, even family members working together, right? If I have it right,
yeah. And this is the only way I know how to describe it is basically the mob. You have a family, and that family has a bunch of people that are cops, and lawyers, and they're in with judges and everything else.
Yeah.
You have some of these people that get into business circles and get into groups like the Freemasons and everything else. And a lot of people think, Freemasons is this evil little group, but it's really not. It's like a college fraternity. And there's some guys up there that are good guys, but there's some guys that are in there that are just in there to hide behind their reputation and be like, ooh, look at us, we're the Illuminati, and be all scared and everything and overplay their hand. So it happens either or. But when you start getting into it, some of these people are, now this is the bad thing about these people. In more than one case that I had learned about, you're talking about people that basically are molesting their kids, pretty much pandering their kids.
Yep.
And they're getting away with it because they have family that are cops or judges or lawyers. And if they get arrested with drugs, hey, they're an informant. They just go set somebody up. Then this is constant thing.
Yes.
This constant pattern with this stuff. And it's like, why is this even here? I mean,
now where are you seeing this again? For anybody that just joined us, where are you seeing this? What county?
In Raleigh County.
Where?
In Raleigh County, but I've also seen it in Fayette County and Greenbrier County and Mercer County. I mean, it's all through the whole state.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree that it's all through the whole state. I'm just wanting to make sure I don't miss anything in your queue. Okay. I'm going to call the next guest on right now, if you don't mind, and I just want to make sure that if there's anything else you want to say before we do.
Yeah, actually, I'm asking everyone to send letters, recommendations, whatever to Judge Berger.
Judge Berger. Judge Berger.
Yeah, Berger. Berger. I have nothing on her personally. It's just that she's the one over top the lawsuit, and I want to, encourage everyone to tell her to just go ahead and put this thing through, and have the prosecutor look at this evidence, because once you start looking at my case and all the stuff on what happened legally in the courts, well, more or less illegally in the courts,
right,
that happened under the law through the courts, then you start breaking it down to looking at other things and stuff like that. And a lot of this stuff will come to light, but it's not going to come to light through any state agency. It's a joke to think that the state police, who are corrupt as hell, are going to find corruption within their own organization. It's just not feasible. But the feds can step in, but even then I have questions about the feds. There's cases where I have severe questions about the feds.
Right.
I can name in particular if you want me to go there.
Yeah, I mean, you can, sure. Might as well, definitely.
Okay. One of the judges that I was mentioning that was involved in my case for all the corruption and everything, Judge Hutchison, his daughter was involved in 18 months worth of drug evidence being taken out of Beckley Police evidence locker. Like, she had a key to it. The other one who had a key to it was Shoemate. Well, Shoemate stepped down as chief of detectives, and he's now like Christine Keller's private little bodyguard or whatever, working for the prosecutor's office. Mm-hmm. But Hutchison's daughter took the blame for it. And Hutchison actually wrote to the judge who was over top of it, federal judge, what's his name, Faber, and asked him to just go easy on her. Now, if it was anyone else who stole 18 months worth of evidence, that's interfering with a police investigation, multiple police investigations, and taking that amount of drugs and everything. And all she got was like a year of rehab and a little slap on the daddy's the judge, and he asked for this.
Right.
And then you get the same thing with, Mary Jennings having a son who's, a sex offender and being covered up for by the police and everything else. Mm-hmm. It's okay for them to go out here and mess around with kids.
Right.
But, if anyone else does it, they're going to go after you.
Right.
And they want to accuse people that don't even do what they're doing, just to discredit them. But it's like they're still doing the same thing. The only thing you're really going after is like a competing business.
Absolutely.
And it's really sad that we're to that point with these children in this state, the people in this state, period. And I don't know. I'm hoping that if we can if I can get some exposure with the feds coming in on my case, then I can step back across and take other people who have gone through this stuff and get their stories out there and get the feds looking at what's going on with them, and hopefully do something to get this, get something done.
Well, I mean, something has to be done, and the judges in West Virginia are highly criminal, are highly need to be desperately held accountable for their actions, for the corruption. However, there is, and we've discovered that there is, actually, you're finally showing up now. There is, there's child trafficking all over the state of West Virginia. Child trafficking, little locations up and down the entire state.
Well, and that's another thing that we have out here. West Virginia honestly functions a lot like a third world country, and I mean it's really sad in a lot of ways. that nothing is getting done. And anytime you try to get something done, it seems like the entire court system is just rigged. And I mean, it really is that bad that a lot of people I know are just like, I'm not going to bother because I can't win. Nothing's going to happen. And, you know, I'm one of these stupid people that I think, you know, I don't really care win or lose. I'm just going to stand up and fight.
Well, if I would have to be considered stupid for doing this, well, then so be it, because it has to be done, and I do believe it will be done, because the more we continue to expose these criminals for what they are. See, I don't think anybody's actually exposed them for what they are and told the truth about what they're doing and the evidence that's surrounding these particular judges that are gag ordering. They're gag ordering West Virginians, first of all, which is completely illegal, so that they don't talk about their cases that they're violating. But these child trafficking rings are actually all seeped into the family court, circuit court, and the CPS down there in West Virginia.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, our DHHR is rather pointless. I sit there with the evidence that I have showing that Dr. Miller wasn't giving the correct evidence. And the doctor that I had in Weston was telling me that I was guilty and trying to get me to confess to something that I didn't do.
Yeah.
Like, I did mention, like I said, this cop had got up there for 8 years and said that I had been threatening his, and I felt that my life was threatened. So I put his house up. Everyone was like, hey, I know where you live. I know where you live for 8 years. If I want to take you out, I could have done it.
Right.
I've been through military.
If I was really that person, right.
If I wanted to do it, I could have done it.
Right.
You're still alive. It's cool. Leave the fuck alone. But that didn't happen. And see, you have to remember, everything that happened in my case that's gone on with me, even though it's exploded in the last couple of years, all of it goes back to 2005, 2006.
Yep.
When I got out of the Army, and I was given an offer I couldn't refuse from this motorcycle club, the Avengers. And that's where Daryl Lilly comes in at, because he's the former president of the Avengers. And it's like a mob boss quitting the mob. That doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. So, and then the fact that he's related to like half the deputies and Beckley cops and everything else, you still have that whole pattern of family coming in there. They wanted me to join their little club. I said no. I've been harassed by the police ever since.
So, I mean, and I see Paula on right now, and she's so right, and I fully hear this daily and day in, day out, Paula. You can't win. They block you for, I'm going to have Rich actually touch on this, but you can't win. They block you for everything. This is killing my family. We need help. I'm scared for my grandbabies. And I've talked with Paula quite a lot. And, you know, she's one of the people in the group, the hitting group. This is why we're doing this right now, Paula, really, and exposing this. And we're going to make sure that this goes viral. We're going to make sure, because, you know, these videos do get high volumes of numbers, and they increase every day. But this is also going to be going on the West Coast, California, pretty much up and down the state. It's going to be aired in Long Island, New York, and Upper New York, as well as New Paltz, New York, which gets a large viewing audience. And then we do have a little coverage area in Minnesota as well. You guys in West Virginia, if you find any public access TV, a simple sponsor is a simple signature. That's all it is. Signature. You have to work, live, or worship in West Virginia, in that county or state where that public access is airing, and we can get this on right away if they'll allow it. And generally, the public access stations will allow it until it's pulled. And I've never had anything pulled. So that's another, you know, good opportunity for people.
Let me tell you a little something about that. This is something I learned a couple years back. I'm not sure who all was involved, but I do know in the case of Robert C. Byrd, he actually owned stock, major controlling stock, in the Beckley Register Herald and a lot of the local news, the radio and local TV news. Yeah. And if there was something that come across that would look bad on him or one of his businesses, he would actually keep it from showing up.
Right.
I mean, West Virginia is really weird. I think we could probably get it on TV.
Well, I've seen the blockages in West Virginia and how they handle it and how illegal the whole state is. And, you know, they're going to have to follow suit, because, I mean, I don't know how much people actually realize what we've accomplished since August of last year to the current day, and what we are continuing to do, and how much this momentum is being, there's a lot going on that people don't see on Facebook and don't know publicly what we're doing. But we are literally, I mean, every time a judge turns around, another judge is down. or another CPS worker is arrested, or another police officer is arrested for corruption, or I don't know if you guys had noticed, you'd have to be sleeping under a rock to not see the news every day now. You know, judges being arrested, judges having to retire, state senators having to retire, being caught. West Virginia, we've got that too. We showed it last time. You know, happening in every state, states that you least expect it, states that are the most corrupt. Listen, corruption's coming to a forefront. People are speaking out. People have had enough.
Well, Christine Keller actually stepped down after they made it public about her son and all that.
Yep.
She stepped down as a magistrate. She didn't go up for re-election or anything. But from what I understand, somebody told me she just went to Virginia and she's working as a magistrate down there.
That I don't know. I just know that if you have false allegations flying out all over you, anybody that's forthright doesn't step down. They keep going strong. So that says a lot to me. Well, I appreciate it, Ron. Thank you so much. I'm actually going to turn it over to, we're calling them anonymous. We are Legion. So we're going to go over their case right now. Thank you very much, Ron. I appreciate all that you shared today.
Bye.
Okay, so this is a couple in West Virginia. Let's see here. Let's get you unmuted so we can show you. Well, we're really not actually going to be showing you, but we figured this would be a funny way to put it. Anonymous, we are Legion, because we are many. We sure are. So hi guys, and thanks for being here right now. Punished for Protecting, and I'm going to share screen. Let's see if I can just move this over. All right. So you guys have a lot to say. Can I don't hear you though. I just want to make sure your mute is off, because I'm looking at a ton of judges here. Let's start with this judge. This is corrupt judge. Let's see who we got here. First of all, can I hear you guys for a minute? Can I hear you guys talk? Anonymous?
Hello?
Okay, there we go. All right, so the first person we see here, we got a lot of stuff here that we got to talk about. We've got student parents sues with West Virginia Middle School over sexual assault. Then we've got Heather Maynes, MA, NPI, is a mental health counselor in Pinole. I'm not sure what that one was about. Then we've got right here, this was interesting. Michaela Stewart, Wayne, West Virginia, corrupt CPS worker. What do you know about her?
We just know that she is involved in the court very much, and she, along with other CPS workers, just has been committing corruption in the Wayne County Courthouse.
In the Wayne County. This one here says Jack Dolence, corrupt attorney, and he's also Wayne County, or?
That is correct.
Okay, and then we've got, oh, hold on. Then we've got corrupt Judge Stephen H. Lewis, and obviously these are the connected dots to the child trafficking and adopting children out, working together, falsifying records. I mean, I've seen the paperwork. What about corrupt Judge Stephen H. Lewis? Do you know anything about this guy?
We just know that he's a family court judge for the county of Wayne, and he's involved with the CPS child trafficking.
Well, let me tell you what I've known. I've been getting a pattern of abuse by this guy. Complaint after complaint after complaint after complaint. You know, you read one, you read two, you know, you question. Boy, when you read 20 or 30 and they actually are the same pattern of abuse to different families, and the families' backgrounds are not bad, and they're adopting out their children, you got to question some things. I don't know. What do you think about that? Like, where do they come off adopting out people's children?
I think that's very much so. There are good parents out here that are being railroaded by these CPS workers, and I believe that along with the prosecutors and the judges and the guardian ad litems and even the attorneys are really pretty much just leading the lamb to the slaughter.
I mean, it's like a setup. It's just like, okay, there's a couple children, there's a child, let's see what we can do, let's get a fake call in, now let's say this, let's grab these kids, let's pull them out, let's throw them into foster care, let's shoot now and talk about it later. Let's see, is there any wounds from that gunshot that I just randomly shot you with? Oh, yeah, there is, but I know you're bleeding right now, but we'll get back to you in a couple of weeks, months, years. Here, take a little peroxide to it. You want to see the children? Oh, sure. Come on, I'll let you see the children. Let me supervise you. Children seem to be being abused. Something's not right. My child's not acting right. There's a bruise. There's this. There's that. That's not for you to talk about. You can't talk about that. I mean, am I kind of setting the stage right? Is that kind of like what you've witnessed? Because that's what I'm getting in reports.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And then by the time you get through, wow, gosh, months, years of this, and they're working through other, all their other means of them making money, such as parenting, evaluations, just all kinds of nonsense, supervised visits, all kinds of nonsense that they do. You're still not any closer to getting your children back. You're still suffering, and then the next thing you know, we're going to terminate your rights completely, and you're like hanging there. I mean, this is what I'm seeing, case after West Virginia case. We have corrupt Thomas Plymile. I don't know if I'm prosecuting attorney in Wayne. And these are the same people that I'm getting, I mean, it's interesting because if you look through the documentation, and I can't show it, well, unless we block out a lot of names, I find it interesting that these same players work together in all the same cases, and the cases are so similar. Why would that be?
I believe that it's because they are working with CPS and they are getting kickbacks. I think that they're getting money made.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty certain of that. Normal people don't take children from families and stretch out long, prolonged court dates against our laws if they weren't getting some kind of kickback. You know what I'm saying? Corrupt prosecuting attorney,
Yes.
family attorney Gary Michaels. Corrupt judge Alfred Ferguson Huntington. It's another one. Mm-hmm. Corrupt judge Alfred Ferguson, Kabyle County. Now, why are the... Oh, okay, I see. And then corrupt judge Wayne James H. Young, Jr.
A list of the corrupt judges. They're all... I would honestly say that all of them are involved with the CPS in the counties of Cabell County, Wayne, Wyoming, Mercer, Mingo, McDowell, Lincoln. I would think that they were all involved in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, this is just a collaboration of a bunch of same complaints. Okay, the similar, very similar complaints. Mm-hmm. All right. Did you want to add anything else?
Okay, the corruption itself is happening with these children.
The corruption what?
These children who want to go home.
Yeah.
These children who want to go home to their parents are stopped.
Yeah.
They are taken away from their parents, done absolutely nothing to them. CPS finds ways to make false allegations on these parents here in these counties, and someone's got to be held accountable for this. It is, it's getting pretty much out of hand. We're not going to get any more. We're not the original Anonymous, no, but we are Legion, and we are a part of the Punished for Protecting. I mean, we know that they're doing wrong. They know that they're doing wrong, but, they can look at their children and, be able to talk to their children, these same people who are no different than you or I.
Mm-hmm.
They just need to be held accountable. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, and the bottom line is that these are crimes. They are felony crimes, is what they are, and they need to be arrested for it. They undoubtedly need to be held accountable. But the damages are irreparable damages to these families and to these children. And the fact that we've done the deep investigations that we've done and find out about the sex trafficking of children throughout the state is very alarming to me. Very alarming to me. And we do need we won't mention what we're doing behind the scenes, but we are doing behind the scenes. So, did you want to add anything else, Anonymous, or should I move on to the next guest?
Oh, no, but I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
I appreciate yours too. Thank you. So my next guest is Mike McClure. Mike, I just want to make sure I can hear you. And I don't know if you have sent me anything into the, do you need you to unmute, please? There you go.
There you go.
There we go. Now, go ahead and, is there anything that you wanted to say about any particular county judge or anything like that? And did you send me anything I can show, or?
Yes, I sent you a story about the town of Alderson back in 2014.
Okay. If it's not fresh in the mail right now, I won't be able to show it unless you just sent it. Do you want to just talk about it?
Yeah,
or?
I sent it. I sent it about an hour ago to the messenger.
Okay, I'll get it right now. Thanks. So as you're talking, I will pull that up. And do you want to tell us about it?
But anyway, supposedly about 2014, there was a guy.
Oh, there it is.
His name was Joe Bumgardner. He was a retired state trooper from Raleigh County.
Okay.
So he was traveling through Alderson that one summer on the 4th during the parade, and there was a truck in the road in front of him, and he tried to honk the horn to get the truck to move, and one of the officers came over there and he said, "You do that again, I'm jerking you out of your vehicle, beating you up and taking you to jail." So when he said, "Hey officer, I ain't doing anything wrong, he's blocking the road and I'm trying to get through and there's no traffic ahead." So about that time, the main cop called his buddies in. They all proceeded to gang up on him, drug the retired state, cop out, beat him up, and he ended up going to jail with a $100 fine.
Wow. So this is basically how the police officers are allowed to just abuse people, and it said that they used excessive force. But they can just abuse people like this and just get away with it, basically, with a little pat on the hand.
Yeah, the thing about history with the Alderson Police Department, every time another cop from another county or a cop gets in trouble and gets caught real bad in this county, they just transfer them. They don't fire them.
Huh.
They never do their job.
Well, I know what I saw with that Sergeant Cox in Parkersburg, West Virginia, man. She was a loaded gun, wacko. I mean, the woman was off the charts insane. And then I come to find out later that this woman, went ballistic in a school. It was all over. It's in the news. You can look her up, Sergeant Cox, Parkersburg, West Virginia. And she's cursing away in front of a bunch of children. And yet they reprimanded her. And then when I filed a complaint against her for similar behavior, they said, they were all ashamed and how they would never, want this to be as part of how they represent themselves, but did nothing. They did nothing. They should have done a formal, apology, public apology on top of, she should have been, I mean, personally, I don't think she should be carrying a gun because she's seriously got mental damage, but this is, this is what runs things, and it's quite scary. It's quite scary to see this, Yeah,
what I figured out with, cops around Alderson and surrounding counties, what I hear from a lot of locals, they say usually if a cop gets in trouble, all they do, if they don't fire him, they just transfer him, and then they get another dirty cop to take his place, and then it's basically the same thing happens again, or, similar along that line.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. It really is, and especially for those of us that respect our men in blue, but there's this character that is infiltrated the men in blue, so to speak. But did you want to add anything else, Mike, at all, or?
Not that I can think of off the bat, but that's all I got, so far.
Okay, well, I thank you, and I'm going to actually play another clip, and then we're going to have Richard Provost speak a little bit. Let's get the one that's...
Until all his people go. Water shot. Water shot. That's the sound you can't avoid. Those rounds on the board. Clap back with that, get back, it's that. Water shot. Come alive from the bay. Decide where the black lives die every day. No rise in the pay. Just hard times for the lost lives on the front lines crying in pain. The needle in your sandwich, blood on behalf of the low and middle classes, all truth classics, 12-point plan for freedom, that's the transcript, stand in demand, this real spit to keep us out of coffins, kids are mad fucked about the law, jumping off it, going to too many penitentiary is calling, what's the next level, gotta bring it to the devil, mobbing, squabbing, it's on who to get, explode, reload, out, new what's left, film at 11, channel 7, hold your breath, when the black steel, bring the hammer time back, it's a wrap, nope, it's not the Occupy movement, thanks but no thanks, I already know the truth and was very well acquainted with the term revolution. Wait before you waited for the price to drop and move in. Repeat that, tweet that, TDOG back, freedom fighter relapse. Strap, lean back, I get relaxed. I'm putting hands on the enemy and pulling white sheets back.
Okay, so I'm going to get Richard Provost on right now to kind of explain that piece. Hold on a minute. All right, Rich. So you're
hello. How are you?
You're exposing
Wood County. That video is basically, it was referring to me shutting down the entire Wood County court system, CPS, Wood County's prosecutor's office. Which was outside, there was outside collaborated corruption with Wood County Board of Education, beating their asses all over the county, beating kangaroo court. Yeah, I like to get on the subject of the child trafficking. In fact, and we've discussed this, that the schools are involved. There's no question that the schools are involved. I was told, I think it was like 2012, they were, Wood County CPS was coming to my son's school. This is Chris School. This is Wood County schools. Like, they're all doing it. I asked her why that she was allowing CPS and also guardian ad litem to talk to my son at school. And she told me that if she didn't allow full access to children at school, she would lose her job. And I said, well, who told you that? She wouldn't say. And a lot of these orders are handed down from the governor's office. So, yeah, there's a big problem with the corruption in West Virginia. It is, like, horrible. Yeah, like you mentioned, you can't file, when you go into court, you can't do anything. You're a sitting duck in court. Yeah, so that's what I had problems with. I was illegally taken to court for 2 years, put a stop to, because his mom has illegal visitations. So she has no legal rights to even take me to court. But it was 2 years of illegal court proceedings. So yeah, your rights are violated. The United States Constitution doesn't even exist. So yeah, I mean, you know, these families in West Virginia are in trouble, big trouble, and you know, I don't know what we're going to do about it. There's going to have to be some, you know, heavy ammunition coming in on this state because it's very corrupt. So I don't know.
So I'm gonna just pull. I just want to pull something up real quick. Someone's asking me. The woman cop you're talking about, you're asking me about, Danita. She's Sergeant Cox of Parkersburg, West Virginia. I'm gonna actually show you. I've done this before. So basically, she was the first female department. This is her. First police department, first female sergeant. Whoop-de-doo to that. And she is a piece of work. A real piece of work. So basically what happened with her is she was sworn in 2013, and it took her like no time. She was on WTAP News, caused an uproar because a viral video surfaces on social media causing an uproar in the mid-Ohio Valley with the Parkersburg Police Department. It's from an incident back in July. This was 2 years later. She's caught cursing at a bunch of kids and yelling, are you acting like you're a stripper? This is a public park, you dumb F-U-C-K, says Sergeant Cox. You're funny thinking you're so effing funny. Walk around flipping people off. Anyway, the kids were 14 years old and younger. She basically, Chief Martin, who I also complained to Chief Martin about something that she did in Parkersburg, West Virginia, said, I'm embarrassed that it would happen, number one. Number two, you know, that's not something that we promote, that we condone. They typed it like this, guys. We won't tolerate it, yet they did, because when I filed a complaint, you think that we're the only two complaints in the state of, you know, in the Parkersburg? Come on. We won't tolerate it, so, you know, we're a professional department. I expect our officers to act professionally. We don't want the public to see us in a negative way or negative light. We'll overcome it, we'll learn from it, and obviously we need some more training, says Chief Martin. I can assure you, this woman has not yet learned. I had to file a complaint about her, and that was in 2017 in January. This woman has not learned a lesson, and neither has the Parkersburg Police Department, for that matter. Rich, did you want to add anything else regarding the sex trafficking in West Virginia? Because it's all related to the courts, to the what about the CPS, and what about the children's listening place?
Oh, baby, the children's listening place. I love that place. They're located in Parkersburg, Wood County, and they supposed to be a non-profit organization, which they are not. I remember, like, I can't remember what year I looked up that they didn't even have a license, a non-profit license. They said that they did have one, but then when I checked back, like a few years later, then they had a non-profit business license. So
they operated without it for a number of years, claiming they had it.
Yeah, I got evidence. I got screenshots of it where they didn't have, like, they lied and said they obtained the license in 2012, which in fact they didn't. Because I have a screenshots of, I think it was 2012 that I took it. I can't remember what the exact date was. I have to go back and look.
So my question is, if they didn't have this license, they didn't have it when you screenshot it for several years. They ran without a license, without a nonprofit, working as CPS, or
no? Since
with
it's
CPS.
Like an off branch of CPS. They have CPS workers that work there. And they have, like, a couple of CPS workers that were on my son's case.
Your sound went down. Your sound is gone.
can't hear my sound. How
You're,
about now?
no, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, what was that? Yeah, because the same CPS. See, that's a lot of people don't know that there's Wood County CPS workers that work down there, which were a few of them were on my son's case, 2012, 2014, and who started it was a prosecutor. I can't remember her name. Jason Wharton, prosecutor's office, Wood County prosecutor's office was running it, and he's now a judge. Let me think. CPS, Wood County CPS supervisors. I think it's like, who is it? There's like a couple. There's like, I think it's Christine. Let me think of what her name is. I can't remember. But then there's like a Wood County head supervisor, Larea Ellis. Yeah, it's not a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
And even on their website, to even admit to like all these, they service like some like I don't know how many hundred kids. What the heck? But are you looking for that?
No, I'm looking for something else.
So yeah. So yeah, it's not a nonprofit organization, and that's fraud. That's complete fraud.
Well, especially if they're saying that they are and then they're not. I mean, how would you rate them in protecting children?
They're not. They're stealing children. They have on their website. They said that they serviced. I don't remember 2014, 2015, like hundreds of these children that they help child abuse and neglect, but not one of those cases. Not one of those cases was reported. 2012. This was unknown that 14 children in Wood County alone died from child abuse in under a year. Nobody even knew of that. And
okay, so say that again. 14 children in 1 year died from child abuse that were being observed by them.
By Wood County CPS.
By Wood County CPS.
And a children's listening place. They have the balloon release ceremony every year where they release the
balloons for the children that they let die.
Yeah, there was 14 of them, and I even contacted the Office of Inspector General Fraud and Management when they were investigating my son's case, 2012, 2014. The one guy, he seemed to be like a straight dude. He was unaware of it. It made him sick because he'd never even heard of it. They're covering up cases of what they're doing.
So what I'm going to do now, thank you everybody. I appreciated all of you being on tonight. Is there anyone in Facebook Live right now that is from West Virginia that would like to talk tonight? I'd be happy to take you on before we close this out. This is going to go with part 1 and will be edited for television. So if there's anybody that would like to try to add a little bit tonight, that's fine. We can add it in. From West Virginia, of course. I'm looking for questions too, guys.
It says, hi, Rich. Hi, Chris Odom.
Okay, Tatiana, Fayette County is very close to your case in West Virginia. Contact me. Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Fayette County is mine, and I'm going after Nancy Vernon in Fayette County. She also gag ordered me too, but contact me, please. I'm an advocate. Fayette in Mercer County. I live in Mercer, Pennsylvania, but my case is in Fayette County, Pennsylvania, and I know all about your case, and we're right in the middle of your case. So, yeah. So, okay. Well, I do see. Hi, I see people on here. Layla, how you doing? Donat, I guess did you not want to come on? Because you're welcome to come on. I don't know why someone's saying no sound. Oh no, there's sound now. It wasn't just for a minute. Things come through late sometimes, but we were on it. Paula. Okay, guys. Well, there's a ton of messages here. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you very much. We did appreciate that. We're going to put this with part 1. This will be put out as we still continue to unravel the investigation that is happening within the state of West Virginia regarding this child sex trafficking and how it's related to the judges, to CPS in West Virginia. Okay, very similar to what's happening in other states. But this is very much connected, and so this is what we wanted to let the viewing audience know, just by giving you some of a basis of what's happening, but knowing that there is a lot more to it, and that is the reason. That is the main reason that this is happening. This is the reason that we have cases of parents, good moms, good dads that haven't been anywhere near their own children in months, years even, children being adopted out in the state of West Virginia, all this just fake nonsense in the interim of before they actually terminate rights. The most bogus court system I think I've ever witnessed, to be honest with you. And they do block on every angle. And we do highly recommend that you guys get networked. You know, get with other people that are in your states, that when you're dealing with this kind of stuff, and be literally proactive, vigilant, forceful if you have to be, not anything outside of the law, but just very public, very outspoken. Get around other people, do rallies in front of the courts, hold up those signs. Listen, I am extremely proud of Dana Williams. Okay, she pulled together a rally that was absolutely awesome, and every single mother in that rally had a gag order. Okay, this is how you do it. Okay, because you will be in the same position in 20 years if you don't. I'm just saying. So this is how you do it. You have to continue to expose. These judges don't like two things: take away their money, but there's something that actually scares them more than that, which is shocking. Show their faces, spell their names correctly, and expose them for what they're doing. People don't take too kindly to judges that are endangering child welfare, okay, and doing far worse than that with sex trafficking, and connecting the dots as to why they're doing what they're doing, okay, because normal people don't do this. Normal people don't render these decisions and harm families to this degree. So we thank you guys for watching. Have a great night. Please be sure to share this, and I appreciate you guys inviting on all your friends. Thank you so much, and have a good night.